Breaking news here at the top of the show, as literal minutes into our taping of this episode, Brock Lesnar officially announced his retirement from WWE and seemingly all forms of athletic competition on the Pat McAfee Show Tuesday. Originally from South Dakota, Lesnar wrestled for the University of Minnesota, where he won the NCAA Heavyweight Championship in 2000 after finishing runner-up the year prior. He trained in MMA, boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, in addition to wrestling, where he learned from Kurt Hennig, Dean Malenko, Doug Basham, among many others. He signed with the WWF out of college, training in Ohio Valley Wrestling alongside Minnesota teammate Shelton Benjamin. That's where he met Paul Heyman, worked with many of the company's top stars before they got called up to the big leagues. The Heyman relationship continued when he debuted on the main roster in 2002, won King of the Ring, and became the youngest WWE champion in history at age 25. His feud with Kurt Angle, especially during that run, was phenomenal. Lesnar attempted to make it in the NFL with the Minnesota Vikings, but did not, ultimately going back to wrestling in Japan before turning to mixed martial arts, working K1 fights, and eventually signing with UFC in 2008. The legendary Frank Mir beat him in his first match, but Lesnar came back and scored a TKO over legend Randy Couture to win the UFC Heavyweight Championship. Lesnar eventually moved to 5-1. He got his win back over Mir before stepping away after consecutive losses to Cain Velasquez and Alistair Overeem. He did come back for one UFC match, which he basically lost to Mark Hunt. That's when Lesnar returned to WWE in 2012, feuding with The Undertaker, ending Taker's WrestleMania undefeated streak, murking John Cena in their feud, debuting Suplex City. He barely appeared on TV despite reigning as champion for a calendar year, though he did have some absolutely incredible matches of a certain variety.
Big meaty man slapping meat. That's what I want.
Particularly Samoa Joe, that feud was sick. Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman. The AJ Styles feud was great too. Brock and the Bank was awesome, but the unfortunate defeat of Kofi Kingston leading into the awful Velasquez feud, that was a second low point in his career. And then the perfectly built Drew McIntyre feud got forced into the WWE Performance Center during the COVID-19 pandemic, partially ruining what could have been a top-level star-making moment for McIntyre. Lesnar retired at this juncture. He returned a year later, wrestled 5 more years on and off in WWE, mostly off for 1 year due to the Vince McMahon sex trafficking scandal. Included were another feud-ending sequence with Reigns, a long-awaited tussle with Bobby Lashley, and more. Lesnar put over Obafemi for good at SummerSlam, but he told McAfee he was legitimately ready to retire after WrestleMania, though he knew business had to be done. While you can never say never in wrestling, especially with Blood Money in the Sand paydays lingering out there, a WrestleMania 43 coming up next April, Lesnar definitely sounded ready to call it a career in the interview, and I cannot necessarily remember another time where he was so steadfast in saying he was retired. From the next big thing to the Beast Incarnate, Lesnar was a one-of-one athlete and professional wrestler. There was never anyone like him before. There may never be anyone like him again inside the squared circle. There are legitimate criticisms to share about his career and his personal life, though in both cases, McMahon certainly played a significant role on screen. If Brock was booked better and not as an absent champion, who knows how he would be viewed in the grand scheme of his wrestling career, perhaps his place in the annals of sports entertainment. On most episodes here, we would spend a ton of time discussing Lesnar, and perhaps we will circle back to it Thursday or next Tuesday, which will be our WWE episode. But for today, right now, Lesnar has retired after the better part of 20 years in WWE, 23 in wrestling, and more than a quarter century as a top-level headline athlete across multiple different sports. Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With the latest WWE edition of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, just 48 hours removed from WWE SummerSlam, less than 24 hours removed from Monday Night Raw, to break down everything that happened on WWE TV over the last week, along with some fallout from the company's second biggest premium live event of the year. Vintage Chris Vanini is here, fully seated, along for the ride, and we will get to him momentarily. First, Silver King off the top does need to remind you here at the Getting Over Wrestling Podcast.
It's all about Defy.
So please, folks,
stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King for Vintage. For Getting Over in totality, head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating. On Apple, you take a little extra time and leave a 5-star written review. We will read it live right here on the show. We noted a couple weeks ago how we had not gotten many new reviews over the last few months. All of you came through with those, so we're going to shout out a few people. First, Jeff_Griff wrote in A++, 7-star wrestling podcast. No one does it better than Silver King and Vintage. I acknowledge you both. Thanks for the hard work and passion for this crazy thing we all love. We also got a 5-star review from Tony Pants, the only wrestling podcast you need. Between the New York Knicks winning the NBA championship and becoming the first team to double as NBA Cup and Finals champions, and then the World Cup, I've had a lot less time for wrestling this summer. No worries, because the Silver King and Vintage are comprehensive in their recaps and thoughtful in their analysis. So not only do I not miss a beat, I can go into SummerSlam able to answer all of my 11-year-old's questions. Thanks for a great show. My only complaint, parentheses, legally required as a wrestling fan, parentheses, is you're too nice to that bum, Tyrese Halliburton. You are so right, Tony. I am too nice to Tyrese Halliburton. Dwan Guapo wrote in 5 stars. Great listen. Been a longtime listener. Thoughtful takes and strong coverage up and down the card. I don't always agree with them, but it's always a great listen. If you listen to one industry podcast, it should be this. As a side note, Chelsea Green should get a monster push. Just had to get that out there. Don, I'm guessing you had a pretty damn good weekend. And lastly, Matt Butler 96. His headline is Meat. 5 stars, the best podcast about wrestling in the game. And I greatly appreciate that. Matt, Don, Tony, and Jeff, we acknowledge you.
Acknowledge.
Big acknowledgement right there.
Acknowledge.
In case all of you forgot what that sounded like, that is the way we acknowledge you when you take a little extra time and leave us those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate the comments we get on Spotify. If anyone leaves a comment like that, we will also read it on the show. And of course, you can always tell us you praise us on our Slack channel, email, Twitter, social media, Blue Sky, wherever you want. Feel free to put praise on the Silver King for Vintage and Getting Over. Let me also remind you, speaking of social media, you can follow us at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show on YouTube. You can listen to the show. You can watch full-length video interviews. Hit the link in our profile. Join the Slack channel that I just mentioned. Subscribe to the show and a lot more. Don't forget to find us on social media at Getting Overcast. Vintage, we have a lot to cover on this episode. How are you feeling? I know you've been sick, dealing with something that you believe to be bronchitis, and yet you've been powering through with one episode after another of performance-enhancing audio while simultaneously getting ready for the college football season.
The magic of editing and muting myself when you're talking.
There have been some meds, yes.
Finally got to urgent care this morning. Bronchitis, got a steroid and some meds,
Ugh.
all that kind of stuff. I'm good to go. I'll be back easily more able to talk, hopefully, by the next show.
Obviously not happy you're sick, but you have been running yourself ragged recently with all the events and stuff you've gone to. So when you told me about this, I was like, it recalled that movie Tag, Jake Johnson's character, where the woman fakes a pregnancy, and he's like, that's what you get. I feel like that's what you get for running around ragged the way you have been. But obviously, I hope you get better soon.
Yeah, I do know that line, and that quote specifically.
Yeah,
I hear that line.
I should really cut that for the show. That's a real good sequence in that film.
Yeah.
There's some really good lines in that movie, actually. It's underrated overall as a film. All right, look, we have a ton to cover here. This is what we're going to do. We're going to kick off with what should be, but never actually is, a brief second look at WWE SummerSlam. Just additional thoughts we have going through the matches, thinking back on the event, whatever. Once we get through that, again, should be relatively fast. After that, we will break down the entire last week in WWE. We'll start, of course, with the main event, and then move into the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are timestamps in the episode description if for some reason you don't want to hear our second look, but I promise you there's going to be a lot of new content here in addition to some opinions that we may adjust or change or just, add some notes to our overall perspective of SummerSlam. I also want to mention many of you contributed questions and comments to the show on social media. We've included them and sprinkled them throughout this episode to a degree. A lot of your comments were just like agreeing with things that Silver King and Vintage already said on the instant analysis, so we're not going to read some of those, unfortunately. Also, if you are a part of our Slack channel, there's like hundreds of messages through these shows. I went back to try to scroll through them to see what you guys were talking about, to touch on some of those points here. But because I'm not being tagged in them or you're not DMing me, it became basically impossible. So I love our Slack channel. It is awesome how much interaction and conversation is there. Vintage chirps in, Silver King does as well. But if you want to make the show and ask a question or leave a comment in Slack, make sure you at least ping me. If not, just DM me directly and I'll try to get it here on the program. So with that said, Vintage, let's get into this WWE SummerSlam second look. First, some general topics. What I wanted to point out that I did not Saturday or Sunday is that the sneaky part of WWE's premium live event presentation these days, and it does not get talked about enough, is these countdown shows are actually quite good. Like, forget the conversations at the desk. Although I do like hearing Big E and Corey Graves convene together and Joe Tessitore kind of weave them back and forth between each other. But the countdown show airs the stuff that we are begging WWE to produce. Full high-quality video packages, backstage promos, extended real sit-down interviews. There were some with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns that was better than a lot of the on-screen build for their feud. They're showing all of it. On Sunday, they aired an extended feature about Robbinsdale High School in Minnesota and how it bred the Gagnes, the Hennigs, Rick Rude, Nikita Koloff, Alundra Blaze, and many others. That was so damn cool. The Night 2 countdown, like I said, it had those interviews, an excellent backstage promo from Sami Zayn that we aired, I believe, on Sunday's Instant Analysis. These are substantially worthwhile watches. And if you are someone like Vintage and the Silver King, where you go into a SummerSlam or any of these PLEs, and you're like, man, it really sucks I'm not getting these pre-match video packages, and you just want to consume them, then seriously watch the countdown show, because that's where they exist.
Yes, I did have both of them on just in the background when I was working, because they put these on ESPN. Like, it wasn't
fully
like, this
free on
wasn't
ESPN.
just this wasn't just on the YouTube page or ESPN app or something like that. It was on major main ESPN, so it just like came on while I was just like doing work and I had the TV on. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just leave this on for a while. And yeah, a lot of those things popped up. I think there were 3 hours, which was a lot for a SummerSlam pre-show, with obviously no pre-show matches or anything. But they do a good job. Some of those videos end up on YouTube
and Twitter. Some of them
package videos we look. Yeah, some of them. But yeah, Tess and Rosenberg and Big E, they do a good job with this. They do.
Yeah, it's super entertaining, and it, like you just said, it's something you can put on and just watch or listen to in the background. And when you hear a video package starting, you look up and you just go do that. I missed this during night 1. The woman who sang God Bless America to open Saturday's show was Vaughn Evelyn Levesque, Paul and Stephanie McMahon's youngest daughter. The relationship was not acknowledged at all on screen. On one hand, cool for her and them. On the other, it moves into the whole nepotism conversation. I feel like she could have done this before a non-Big Four PLE, and it probably would have been a non-issue. Taking this spot at SummerSlam from another artist when you had Darius Rucker sing the national anthem on Sunday, I'm a bit iffier about that. Either way, some of the comments about this young woman, because people have a really strange hatred of her parents, they were disgusting. People need to be better. But to some degree, congratulations to her. And I'm sure, Paul and Stephanie were extremely proud.
I cannot imagine caring about who is singing the national anthem before a freaking wrestling show. Like, guys, come on. Like, when I saw Darius Rucker night 2, he was on the pre-show too. I was like, oh, cool. They talked about his fandom of South Carolina and Trick Williams playing there and stuff. I was like, oh, this is cool. And did the anthem. Cool. Like, I cannot imagine having a thought of it. They do anthems in kind of crazy places. Like, my wife takes our dogs to dog shows sometimes. They'll often do the anthem there beforehand. So it's just an interesting tradition we have. But yes, I didn't know that was the daughter. Seemed fine. Cool. I cannot imagine being upset about that at all. By the way, it was only on like the pre-show too. It wasn't even on the main show.
Right.
So like,
totally.
Whatever. Relax, people.
Yeah. We mentioned the stage a couple times on the instant analysis shows. I wanted to reiterate how much I loved it. I legitimately believe it was their best screen-only stage ever. It was not just the style, it was how they utilized the video boards and those angular border lights. Some of the entrances looked incredible. Like Gunther's really stood out to me for some reason. The only way it would have looked better than it did is if the show happened at night.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Good stage. I liked it. It would have looked even better in if the sun was down.
Yeah. To that end, Mikey M at Mikey_trolls wrote in. He was in attendance. He said he had floor seats. The daylight absolutely ruins the aesthetic. Beyond that, he wore sunglasses most of the event, and it was still light when he got home, which is crazy.
Yeah, when the show started, various times, they got that big window on the one side. It was like behind the stage, but you could see just how crazy bright that sun was, I think, going directly at the fans. So wearing sunglasses is probably a good idea.
I've asked multiple people about the show starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, why it was done, especially when it was in the Central time zone. I will, of course, 5 Central would be the time there. I have not gotten any responses yet. I do expect to get them soon enough, and I will, share what I learn here on the show. Overall, this is not SummerSlam specific. I realize when it comes to our ultimate previews, I've been a little bit too safe on my predictions recently. I used to kind of go off the wall and really go deeper, explain why I believe certain outcomes are possible, like Chelsea Green and Baron Corbin winning their respective matches, which were both concepts that we discussed, but perhaps did not dig deeper into the why and how it could work for WWE moving forward. And I went against my better judgment in some of those situations. So going forward on our ultimate previews, Silver King is going to be, a little bit more in depth and a little bit, take bigger risks. Let's put it that way. All right, let's go.
I was surprised. Yeah, I was surprised you didn't give Chelsea a chance. I think I said she's got a shot. And then when we talked again Friday night, I was like, I think she's winning.
Oh, no, you're misremembering. So I said that for weeks, I thought Chelsea was going to win the match. But then as we got closer, it was like, oh, man, It's going to be Charlotte. They're going to do the feud with Jade centered around the title as opposed to just a singles feud. And then, yes, after SmackDown, when they announced they had a singles match forthcoming, I was like, oh, man, they're going to give her the title, do an interim title match on TV. Like, it just seemed like that's what they were doing. Super happy for Chelsea, as I know you are and many of our listeners are as well. Let's go through the entire card one more time. Night 1, Night 2. These are quick notes. Vintage, interrupt me if I say anything that you want to mention. If not, you'll obviously have time to cover everything on the back end. Of course, we will start with Night 1. Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar in the main event. Hell in a Cell.
Oh, we got 2 big meaty men bumping me tonight.
I'm at 4.25 stars A, down a quarter. Still 5 slabs of beef, though. This was the best match of their series, and I need to grade it as such. Oba did Brock's hopping warm-up for a fight, like before the bell, mirroring him. Lesnar smiled. It seemed like it was improv. He didn't know he was going to do it. I glossed over this while breaking down the match. I want to take a moment to point out how incredible the steel step shots were, both on Lesnar's execution and Femi's selling. Each one felt like an individual shotgun blast to the head. And you and I talked about there not being as much violence in this match as we perhaps wanted. That was violent. No question about it, that sequence. My take remained the same from the instant analysis. Great match, tons of beef flying, close to perfect for what I believed Lesnar could achieve, except for the literal final part of the finish. Femi sold the tombstone well. He had to power himself back up to his feet. I saw people say he no-sold it. That is not true. He took a 2.9 count and then struggled to get to his feet again. But a chair punch and fall from Grace after that just left a lot to be desired. On rewatch, I thought about him hitting an F5, like hitting Brock with his own move, and then fall from Grace. And I'm like, man, if he did that, it would have been a real exclamation point. This was Lesnar's longest match in 3 years. And as I mentioned in the cold open of the show, he has officially retired from WWE.
Yeah, it was good. I don't think it wasn't as violent. They just didn't use the cell as much.
Right.
As I think we would have wanted. But that table spot was my favorite spot of the match. And my thoughts are all the same.
Arlo S. wrote in on Spotify saying he believes that he or any Joe fan at age 50 could take a German suplex and it doesn't seem that devastating. Let me put it this way. And this is from someone who is the definition of an average Joe, meaning I've stepped into a wrestling ring 2 times. I've taken a couple bumps, run the ropes, jumped off the top rope, or excuse me, the middle rope, not the top rope.
Really? Where'd you do this?
I did it at Dusty Rhodes Training Academy here in Florida. I went in high school for a video production project. We were taping people training, like real wrestlers actually training. I should really look back at those tapes and talk to my friend, because perhaps there's someone in those tapes who's an actual wrestler, that actually did it. But we were there for hours. And at the end, we're like, sheepishly, hey, can we kind of get in the ring? And he's like, are you going to tell your parents? And we're like, no. So we jumped in the ring and did some shit. And so this is my point. Okay. I've done this 2 times. I've stepped into the ring. I've never trained. I've never wrestled. Okay. Yes, you could take a German suplex and you would be fine. But you would never get 11 minutes into a match and take a German suplex and be okay. These guys are not just taking one move. They're taking a series of moves over weeks, months, and years. Brock Lesnar, for an example, or even Obafemi, they've wrestled multiple times and they're dealing with disc issues and neck issues and all this stuff. So when they're taking these moves, and especially if you're Brock, and now we know he's going into retirement, I would have said, hey, dude, just take the bump on the wood. Like, what are you doing? This is your last bump ever. Just do it. But if you're dealing with back issues and pain and all this type of stuff, that shit hurts, man. And I'll tell you this too. Like, you think taking a bump hurts? Running the ropes hurts. Like,
yes,
these wrestlers develop calluses. There's a reason why so many of them wear shirts and things on the tops of their bodies and don't just like running bare-chested and barebacked. That shit effing hurts.
That is what I learned going to the tryouts, is that no one who's ever run the ropes before understands that. Yeah, agree on that point.
There are some, my understanding, some indie ropes are like softer and better. The WWE ropes are no joke. They hurt. So yes, could you take a German suplex? Many people listening could take one. As long as you're dealing with someone who's, professional, knows how to do it, and they teach you how to bump and cradle your head upward and all that, you theoretically could do it. You'd walk out of there totally fine. Everything would be fine. You could not wrestle a match as a Joe,
No.
and you couldn't take 10 bumps. You'd be in major pain and you'd be crippled the next day. Simple as that.
Yes.
WWE Championship, CM Punk against Cody Rhodes. I'm standing by 4.25 stars. I certainly believe in the concept of to each their own when it comes to opinions about film, TV, wrestling, whatever. I have now watched this match in full twice. I cannot for the life of me understand anyone grading this below a B+, especially if the reasoning for that is that it was, quote, slow or Punk missed a moonsault. The moonsault was ugly. He did execute it Terry Funk style. He just missed. He did go all the way over. It is a fair demerit on the match, but it's nothing that should torpedo one's overall view of it. I stick by my grade. I would have shaved 5 minutes off of this to help with the overall flow. And to confirm my point from the instant analysis, when Punk missed the elbow drop onto the announce desk, you and I argued about this on that show. Cole did not immediately call the knee. First, he called the spot. 10 seconds later, I counted, he called the knee. The issue, and the reason why you think he called the knee right away, is he screamed about it 4 times. He kept talking about it and screaming, the knee, oh my God, the knee, as if Punk pilled like a Nick Chubb and the bone was sticking out of his leg or something like that. So in terms of the immediacy of the call, Vintage, you were wrong. In terms of the ridiculous overindulgence of the moment, you were 1000% right.
Okay, I didn't go back and watch it, so that makes me feel a little bit better. And the moonsault part, like, there's a part of me that wonders if he missed it on purpose, like if that was part of the bit, because again, he missed the moonsault against John Cena back in 2012 or whatever. Like, it was the exact same thing. So
yeah.
I don't know. To me, I thought this was like an okay match. Cody was good, but Punk was better. Again, I just felt like it's kind of like the Roman match, but just not as good. And so I don't know if I gave it like 3.75 or 4, but I'm right around there.
Right. And that's totally, I accept that. I'm just saying, if you're below those numbers, like you're unnecessarily and unfairly docking it for pretty much one move or for slow and not understanding that they were doing old school classic wrestling storytelling in the first half of the match. Small element I missed live was Randy Orton gently lifting Cody's head. That way he definitely saw who was giving him an RKO. And then the wink after that, I thought it was just an excellent little bit from Orton. And I want to see him as much on Friday as I do, Kevin Owens, CM Punk. Like, I want to see what Randy Orton's going to say. And can they actually salvage that feud? It's going to be really interesting. Moving to the Women's World Championship, Liv Morgan, Io Sky, 4.25 stars A. Despite this being for a world championship, WWE did not do its typical extended ring announce. They did it for both men's titles. They did not do it for the women. That was absolutely ridiculous to me. They've done it before. It's almost like they are trying whatever possible to tell us they don't care about the women to the same level they care about the men. And that has not been the case with this company since Paul Levesque took over creative. Not at all. At 13:30, this was the third longest of the 12 matches at SummerSlam. Absolutely insane statistic that just goes to show how little wrestling we got at the event. And lastly, it remains strange to me on rewatch. Io's knee did not factor into the match story, nor the finish. But as I said Saturday, it was an excellent overall opener. It totally hit all the marks.
Yep, really good. Love the finish again. And one thing I didn't mention, Liv, not great doing the three amigos in that match. It was a little bit rough there, but other than that, it was good match. Wish it had gotten more time.
Indeed. Gunther versus Nick Aldis.
There's beef flying all over the place.
3.5 stars B, 3 slabs of beef. This is Gunther's best jacket style. As far as I'm concerned, the robes are too flowing for a man with his build. The long jackets are a little bit over the top, maybe for WrestleMania or something. This varsity jacket style, I know you love the engraved chest kind of plate or whatever. That's where it's at. Levesque said after the show that he acquired the rights to Morning Glory by Oasis for Aldis upon request. Presumably it was not as expensive as they initially thought. Great call by you on Wade Barrett going nuts for it. Did not recognize that live. One of the funniest comments I saw online was how Aldis's entrance sucked and it was clearly an AI slop theme, which just goes to show how dumb people are when it comes to like trying to criticize WWE. Aldis did confirm that he got blown up early in the match despite training harder than he had in his entire life before the bell. That confirms what we talked about on the instant analysis regarding the match time compared to Pat McAfee, who's someone who had been wrestling and had been training. For Aldis, it was out of nowhere. He was in shape, but he had to completely build himself up as a wrestler. So I'm not going to criticize it when it comes to this match.
No, and this is still my favorite part of the weekend was this match right here. I thought the reaction for all this was cool. Mm-hmm. His look, the music, commentary was great. The match told a really good story. And yeah, like this felt fresh. This felt different because it's somebody we hadn't seen before. So only other thing I would have loved Mickie James slapping Gunther at some point.
Yeah, that would be great.
And I would have liked the 3-arm drop, but again, the tap out here I think was more definitive, and you want that in the situation, especially if all this is not continuing to wrestle, which appears it doesn't.
Exactly. LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys defeating the Usos and Jacob Fatu, 3.75 stars B+. Sikoa running back Jay's music remained the funniest moment of the weekend, and I must have been laughing hard live because I missed that after he did that, he mocked Jacob's gyrations. Also, Michael Cole called Keys' ultimate spinebuster a pop-up powerbomb. I could not believe my ears.
What?
Yeah, I know. I could not believe my ears. Wade Barrett had to correct him. And that is exactly what you want this match. From a big show, 6-man tag, Knight pinning Jay was the perfect finish, as we discussed. Quickly, I'll roll this into the Bella Twins and Page against Fatal Influence. 2.5 stars C. JC Jane was absolutely paying homage to Shawn Michaels with her gear. As the man with two ends at AL Stephen Mann wrote to us. But he said the other two were representing Triple H and The Undertaker. I didn't see that at all. Vintage, any thoughts on these two trios matches?
No, they made sense. Obviously, the Bree shoulder injury sucks. That was a pretty gnarly spot, too. The cannonball into the stairs. Like, that's a move you can execute that can go wrong, I think, pretty easily. But yes, lots of clips of Solo, even walking back up the ramp afterward, doing the Jacob gyrations. He was hilarious. Him and LA Knight, man, like they're two of the biggest things going right now for them.
Since you mentioned it, Brie announced on social media she broke her scapula, which means an extended recovery, another huge bump in the road for the Bella Twins. Time out of action, it's going to vary on severity and recovery. 3 to 6 months at a minimum, as many as 9. As Vintage, you previously pointed out, or pontificated, I should say, the idea of a tag team feud with Paige and AJ Lee was almost certainly the plan. Made way too much sense. They can run it as Nikki and Paige now, maybe bring in AJ Lee and do a triple threat, but that's just an entirely different division. This was planned for the tag team scene. Yeah. But the real key here is that there has been far too much concentration on these women since WrestleMania. I'm not suggesting they can't be part of the show in some form or fashion, but the young, more talented women who have been brought up from NXT to SmackDown have largely been shelved, with these women getting all the TV time. It's seriously hurt the show. It's hurt their development, and I hope that changes come Friday.
Well, I don't know if I'd say that. I mean, there were tag team championships involved, so it wasn't like meaningless. Like
no, but they were taking
they had
TV
the belts
time
too long.
Is what I'm saying. Yes, that's pretty much what I'm saying.
But it built them up to drop the belts to Fatal Influence, give them some more time. Yes, and the other Sol Ruka came up. I mean, she won the IC title. So like the women who came up have been
That's Raw. That's a
doing
different show,
important
though.
things.
I mean, this is
No, I
largely
know. I'm just
taking
saying. I'm
place
just
on
saying of the
SmackDown.
women who have come up. I was surprised how much we got at the Bellas and Paige since then, but just run with Paige for a little bit. Like I know Nikki's, whatever, but like put them in multi-person matches. Make it a fatal 4-way or a triple threat with JC Jane in there or something like that. Use them, but use them more to get the other people over as well.
Indeed. Night 2, World Heavyweight Championship, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, 5 stars, A+. When Reigns took the Shield powerbomb through the English announce table, he ricocheted off of it and landed crotch first into one of the desk chairs. He grabbed himself immediately. That had to suck. On the instant analysis, I mentioned how odd it was the referee suddenly decided to count after being willing to let them bend the rules for multiple minutes outside. This is the second show in a row, major match, I should say, let me clarify, where they've been given that. Like, it wasn't at Reigns and Punk where like they use the steel steps and you're like, what the hell? Why is that not a disqualification?
Yes.
So this would have been fine, even with the referee like allowing stuff to go and then counting, if he was more demonstrative. He should have left the ring, gone up to the guys and said, okay, enough, time to get back in the ring. I'm going to start my count. If he said that bit of realism, that's the difference between a situation like this being illogical and completely fine in kayfabe. One minor miss, while Reigns did the guillotine spot with Rollins, it would have been real nice if they referenced the Royal Rumble disqualification with Reigns, like he does with the chair, deciding he doesn't want to retain the title by getting disqualified. It was right there for them to do if Seth grabbed the rope rather than do the spot they did in the middle of the ring. The storytelling of the finish was beautiful. This was probably the one match I rewatched where I was struggling to find notes to add here because we discussed it so extensively on Sunday's show.
Yeah, nothing really new to add other than I enjoyed the photoshops of the two of them fisting, so to speak, fisting each other's hands at the end of the match with the ghost of Dean Ambrose in between them. And then later, instead, the ghost of Shield Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
And they're very funny. And then Kurt Angle, I think, shared it himself as well.
Yeah,
Very
he
funny.
posted like, oh, guys, so nice that you thought of me. Miss you. Something like that. It was just typical Kurt Angle, hysterical, normal stuff. Interim WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill, Chelsea Green, Charlotte Flair, and Lash Legend, in a ladder match. 3.5 stars B. Jade wore Prince tribute gear in Minnesota. It was a great touch. She looked amazing. I completely missed that. Commentary, speaking of missing, they didn't realize the parallel in Chelsea pushing Tiffy off the ladder compared to the inverse at Money in the Bank last year. Total failure. Didn't call it out. Stratton being the only person willing to bump and the only person able to do anything athletic seriously hurt this match. I said that from the jump before the field was even completed. It was such a flawed booking. You throw Jordan Grace and Julia in this match instead of Charlotte and Jade. You let Charlotte and Jade have a singles match. You're looking at a totally different level of quality and 4 women's matches on the card instead of 3. But credit to Stratton. She was the clear MVP of the match, her best effort in a while, and obviously the moment with Chelsea was incredible.
Yep, really good. Glad for Chelsea. This was one of the biggest, I think, fan moments of the weekend. Like, people were really, really happy for Chelsea. And that's great. That's cool. Enjoyed the finish. Good stuff. Well, again, better than I thought it was going to be, even if it wasn't great.
Finn Balor, Sami Zayn, #1 contendership for the WWE Championship. 4 stars A-, purely a time issue. This match should have been 4.5 stars or better, and it would have been if they had 5, 7, 10 more minutes. It was absolutely a joke. I have more to say about this than anything else. Perhaps my greatest takeaway from rewatching SummerSlam in totality is that Balor is straight up chiseled from granite right now.
Yeah.
I would be legitimately surprised if he has more than 2% body fat. And even that percentage I question. Forget the 10-pack and whatever else is going on in the upper torso. You can literally see every single muscle in his legs and thighs. I have never seen a person, male or female, cut like he is cut. The fact that he was wearing pants for so long basically hid this from us. We had no idea what was happening, but it was stunning to see him make his entrance. And then later in the match, he does the coup de grace. And if you just look at his legs, you just see muscle. It is absolutely wild. Did you notice this?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about how if we're going to do the men's version of the Hey Now Championship, he might be the 26-time winner or something like that.
Yeah.
But yes, I did notice it. By the way, like, I'm currently, as we're talking, I have some old just random WCW playing on my TV, and Rick Rude is currently wrestling, and that was the ideal body back in the time. Finn Balor smokes Rick Rude, frankly.
Oh, yeah. Of
And
course.
Finn Balor is 45 years old.
It's ridiculous, man. And he still moves. He took a bump in this match when he got pushed off the top rope. I want to say by KO. I'm surprised he was walking when it was over. He just fell, landed like back ribs first into the ring apron and ricocheted off almost into the barricade. It looked like a crash test on me. It was unbelievable, that bump. This match was so freaking good and so insultingly, frustratingly short, man. Gunther, interestingly but not surprisingly, given the context, got a much greater heel reaction here, walking to the ring, than he did against Aldis. I compared KO's return to the Hardy Boys at WrestleMania 33. On rewatch, that was precisely correct. Same level of surprise, same reaction, same emotions, actually stronger here because of the complexity of the injury. I got hit in the feels when he was on stage. The camera shots of people crying in the crowd were some of WWE's best work the entire event. I hope creative notices how emotionally invested fans are in KO.
Yes. And I didn't fully appreciate that Kevin Owens shows up, first time in 17 months, and he's immediately just doing insane spots and just diving after neck surgery and all these types of things, like right away. And he said in the post show, like, about like taking better care of himself, like in the ring or whatever. He was just like, no, I'm going to give you all everything I have every time. And that's exactly what he did in this match.
Yeah. He said doctors and WWE trainers told him, be careful. And he said, I'm not going to be careful. I'm doing this for all of you. If I have 2 years left, I have 2 years left. Hopefully it's longer than that, but I'm not going to slow down. I'm not going to do anything half-assed. I'm going to be the Kevin Owens you know and love, basically.
Yeah. And he did shout out all the doctors and stuff who worked on him as well, which is great. And Rebel, who's battling ALS as well, which is a very nice moment. Related to this, Nick Aldis comes out and announces them to come out. Mm-hmm. He had a big shiner on his left eye.
He did, yeah.
Liv Morgan once again had a shiner on her left eye. Like, do we need to get back to training working punches or something like this? I feel like everyone's getting like black eyes like much more frequently than they used to.
I don't think they're happening from punches. I just think it's coincidental shoulder, knee, whatever the case might be. But I got to tell you, what's underrated about Liv, no one talks about it. No one gives her credit for it. She is an absolute physical beast. And when I say that, I mean, she will take any punishment and bounce right back from it. Like, she doesn't care. Punch her in the face. Remember the headbutt with Roxanne Perez and Stephanie Vaquer, where she had the big knot on her head for WrestleMania? Yeah. Like, she just doesn't give a shit. Like, she is willing to go out there and get the shit kicked out of her. And man, like, you got to give her credit. She's receiving an insane amount of criticism recently. And there's a reason for it that is not wrestling related, that it is an extended topic we don't have time to talk about on this episode. Yeah. But from a wrestling standpoint, she has improved so much, or she had improved, let me put it that way, so much over like a 2-year span going into last year. She is still at that level now, having recently come back for injury, doing this title run. It is unfortunate that she's not wrestling. That's not her fault. That is creative's fault. When she is in the ring, in big match situations, she shows out. She's good on promos. Like, she is one of the most overlooked, I would say, wrestlers in WWE and in North America right now. And it's really
remember, before she had really blown up, there was that period where she was kind of doing the Jeff Hardy thing. Like, she was like the extreme wrestler, throwing herself off ladders and stuff.
She did do that, yep.
Before she kind of found the character and all that kind of stuff. Yes, she puts herself through a lot.
Back to this match. The best part of this was how every single thing that happened played into Sammy's storyline. Him going from angry he had to fight Balor at all, to apoplectic that Gunther got added, to stunned, catatonic, mouth agape at Owens' return, and then going from empathetic to capitalistic when KO appeared injured in the match. I graded the match what I graded it. As an overall segment, conceptually, the storytelling, this was an A+ in that way. Had me thinking, like, who, we kept talking about this, like, if Sammy is going to win the title at a WrestleMania, like, who might he fight? And we talked about Cody and Gunther and all these options. Punk. It might be Owens, man. Like, it may well be KO, Sami Zayn for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 43.
Yeah, that's look. I love Sami and KO, but that kind of feels like Seth Roman. Like, we've seen it a lot. Is it fresh enough? I don't know. them two against each other makes sense. But also, remember, we're a long ways away from Mania. We
long ways away.
Punk, Kevin Owens to get through.
Yep.
Sammy will be involved somehow. Very curious to see where it all goes.
As of today, the most interesting and exciting option for me would be Punk and Sammy. But again, to your point, 9 months away. Can we even get there with Punk still champion? Does he lose it, win it back? Tough to say. And lastly, Balor did get screwed as much as Zayn, just considering he won a 4-way to go into this match, which was then made a 4-way. And to that end, I would like to see Balor, Zayn do their feud one-on-one coming out of this, maybe with Gunther involved, maybe with another number one contendership once the Owens match is scheduled. It would give them all something solid to do in the upper mid card while they're running Punk and Owens, and that is something we will talk about momentarily. Intercontinental Championship, Penta against Chad Gable, 4.25 stars A. Only additional note I had here, it was something I was wrong about on the finish. On rewatch, I enjoyed how Penta tapped as soon as the grapevine got added to the ankle lock. However, there should have been a break in the submission attempt, given another 5 to 10 minutes, and then you go back into the ankle lock and the grapevine, and that's how it ends. Common theme, time, of course. Throughout the show, we talked about that extensively on Sunday. By the way, beyond the mug root beer promotion at the end of this being disgusting, perhaps the most disgusting, other than the Riyadh stuff, I feel like this might be a fun topic for us to discuss briefly. Vintage, I hate root beer. Like, I have not been a regular soda drinker in probably 20 years, but when I did drink soda, or when I do drink soda now, if it's not Coke, and by the way, shout out RC Cola, which is pretty much just as good, or Sprite or something, if I'm going with like a less regular pick, I am taking cream soda over root beer or Dr. Pepper every single time. That shit is disgusting. Are you team root beer or team anti-root beer?
I'm not sure what the soda is. I mean, I drink pop where I come from, but that's another story. Root beer is fine. My brother was a big root beer guy. I'm usually sticking to Coke, Pepsi, and Sprite or orange pop. Cream soda, absolutely not. I will take root beer over cream soda.
No way.
But it's like middle tier for me, basically.
I do like orange soda. I like orange cream soda as well. Have you ever had that?
I don't know.
Probably not.
But generally, cream soda, not my thing.
I think Barks makes a orange cream soda that is pretty damn good. But yeah, no. Silver King is anti-root beer, anti-Dr. Pepper. I'm just completely out of both of those. U.S. Championship, Trick Williams defending against Baron Corbin, losing to Baron Corbin. I'm actually downgrading this. This is another match I'm downgrading. 2.75 stars C+. That's the only note I have. Danhausen, Dominic Mysterio, 1.5 stars D. Same rating as I was at. Anything on those, Vintage?
Nope. Not much else to them. Other than, I'm going to say again, I Bring the Darkness, Corbin's old theme, was terrific. It was so good. I listened to it after the show. This new stuff is nothing. Just go back to that song. Like, it's the same kind of music. It's rock music. If they've got the ability to do that, go back to I Bring the Darkness. Great song.
Fair enough. In terms of overall grades, I'm going to guess you don't really have adjustments. I do. Night 1, I'm going down from 91 to 90. I know that's minor. I was originally thinking I was going to go even lower than that. But what I'm actually going to do is increase my Night 2 grade from 92A- to 93A. I'm going to match what Vintage had. So 3 points differential. I think it's fair between those two. And just based on what we got, the short matches, it was frustrating. But Night 2, I believe, was the single best PLE night, and really PLE overall, including Night 1, for WWE since Evolution. Like, Royal Rumble was disappointing. WrestleMania was disappointing. Other ones have not really lived up to expectations. SummerSlam, despite limited match time, the booking and most of the decisions on the show definitely lived up to and exceeded expectations. So I'm at a 92A- overall. We're both in the same letter grade. But as we said on the final instant analysis, this could have been easily a full A for a 2-night show and a high A, maybe even low A+ for Night 2, if the matches just got more time. The lack of wrestling was the key issue, not the booking or anything else. I had few, if any, booking issues. Oba was made. Proper Rhodes-Orton feud got started. Punk Owens. Chelsea as champion. Trick probably being moved up the card. Gable as champion. Progression in the Bloodline story. The end of the Shield story. Not getting wrestling on one of the top wrestling shows of the year, given all that positivity, it is a shame. If they just put more action on the card, we're talking about this as like one of WWE's best premium live events, probably in the entire Paul Levesque era.
Yeah, I don't understand why everything is so short. Like, the show as a whole is also short. Like, it's not like it's still a 4-hour show and there's just less wrestling and more ads. No, it's just like a 3.5-hour show. It's barely longer than what Raw and SmackDown used to be. I don't understand why that's the case and why that is so clearly started to happen since the ESPN move. Like, does ESPN not want something to go 4 hours, or does the numbers show shorter shows keep longer retention? I would love to know why that they are just going with these shorter shows now. It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. Like, I don't see it as likely. It's possible. ESPN is like, we don't want any show to go beyond 3.5 hours, and that's it. And WWE is like, well, we can't give them 4 matches or 5 matches. We have to give 6 for SummerSlam. Therefore, the rest of them have to be short because we want the main events to go 35 minutes. I would much rather those main events go 22 to 25 minutes and have the rest of that time dispersed over the rest of the card than have these 35-minute main events, which just for me are unnecessary. But
or put one of the matches just on the pre-show. Like,
yes,
we could have put Trick, Bear, and Corbin there
100%,
and give more time in the main show if you're going to do that. I hate shortening these matches.
Yeah, no, you're 1,000% right. Well, look, that was our WWE SummerSlam second look. We do, however, want to go over a number of items that were discussed on the respective post shows from Saturday and Sunday. And we're going to start with this from CM Punk, which I know many of you want us to discuss. This is his post show promo. It was extensive. It was probably about 10 minutes. I've cut it down to 3. Check this out.
Did you have any feelings when you found out that you would not be the main event?
Of course I had feelings about that, but I'm not one of these guys that has it in their contract that I have to end the show. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's a main event, and there's the match that goes last, right? It ain't for me to decide. I'm too old for that. I'm just going to lace my boots up and beat somebody's ass. That's all I know. Whether I'm first, whether I'm before intermission, whether I'm the popcorn match, I'm semi-main, main. CM Punk is always the main event. There's a reason I call myself the best in the world. Everybody wants to be that. I am that. So come and get it. Come and get it, Gunther. Randy, I'm not stoked what Randy did. Randy's a snake. Randy wants some. He can come to get some. His dad Bob can get some. Randy's mom wants some. I'll slap her too. I don't really care.
All right. We do have a number 1 contender.
Yeah, Trick Williams, whoop that trick. I'll give some to him too. CM Punk is here. I am a target, and I welcome every single archer who wants to shoot a bow and arrow at me. Bring it on. I'm not hiding on an island. I'm not hiding in a bubble. I am not a pussy. Let's go.
Your thoughts on Sami Zayn and Finn Balor?
Hey, listen, I just wrestled a friend of mine, Cody Rhodes. Yep. Finn Balor is somebody who I consider a friend. Sami Zayn, not so much. As much as I would like Finn to progress, I don't know if I want to wrestle a friend again when I could punch Sami Zayn in his stupid loud mouth. He wants to say all these things, all these cool buzzwords. Oh, I'm a hypocrite. I'm a fraud. Brother, you're following in my footsteps, echoing the same things that I sat down cross-legged on a stage in Las Vegas 15 years ago to open up doors for little jerks like you. And I did it, and I paved the way. And if you won't show me some respect, I will beat it out of you. Okay? I don't care who wins that match tomorrow. Man, I'll see him Friday in Philly. I'll wrestle. I'll go to Raw and wrestle. They need the ratings boost.
What are the odds Cody gets another crack at that thing?
I think the odds are very good. Obviously, he deserves one. We saw the RKO. We saw the ref down. I didn't see, run it back. I don't care. Do you want to see it again? They're the boss. I know Triple H is the COO or whatever he is, but ladies and gentlemen, this is my boss right here. These are the people I listen to. Who gets the title shot? Who wants it? Give me names. You somebody from Triple A? Mini Vikingo? Dominic?
Love that.
How about Grayson Waller? How about somebody from TNA? Huh? Where's Eric Cannon at?
He's not in the street.
Oba? You want Oba? I want Oba. Listen, Oba Femi, without a doubt, is the future. That does not mean that I am not the present. And be careful what you try to open underneath the Christmas tree. You may not like what you get. Oba is fantastic. My experience trumps his ability. Oba hasn't picked what champion he wants to go after. If he wants to wallow in obscurity, go after Roman. If you want to live under the bright lights, come after the real champ.
Holy Shit.
Oof.
First of all, best to ever do it, exclamation point. Like, there's nothing else needs to be said regarding that, but I will add this. I wrote this on social media. It's a good thing that CM Punk is straight edge, because when you heard that promo and you saw him going off the way he did, you would have thought he was inebriated in one way or another. He was just high off his own supply, man. That guy can get himself worked up into a lather like no one else in the history of professional wrestling. That was absolutely incredible. And that wasn't a promo. Those were interview answers. So like, he would give an answer, calm down a little bit, and then just pick up right where he left off. Absolutely phenomenal. That promo is why a moment ago I talked about Punk and Zayn really seeing like it can be the feud for WrestleMania, but how do you wait 9 months for that? Punk and Oba, super interesting, primarily because like, is Roman Reigns actually willing to do the job for him this year? I'm not saying Roman never would, but is he willing to do that already for a 28-year-old? I don't know. Punk would. Even beyond that, there were some snide comments there, 2 of them, about Reigns that I don't know if all of you picked up, but if you want, listen right back to it. Talked about, having it contractually obligated that you end the show. And then he said, like, you can be obscure and go after Roman, or be something and go after him. Those are pot shots at Roman. Yeah. They're not feuding anymore. And that is important, because we're going to come back to that in a moment, Vintage.
Yeah, he was just fired up in a way that I hadn't seen him in a long time. And I'm fascinated to know why that was. Like, he wasn't just fresh off his match. Again, they didn't main event the show. So
right.
I was listening to this as it was happening. I was like, man, this dude's just like going off. We were preparing for the show, so we didn't get to it in the moment. But yeah, it just really jumped out for a lot of individual comments there. Also, I appreciate that he said there's a main event and it's the last match of the night. Something you and I have talked about, whether co-main events or triple main events exist. No there's thing. One main event. It's the last match of the show.
By the way, if you want a taste of what CM Punk and Kevin Owens is going to be like, here you go.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the idea of you never getting to main event WrestleMania is so good to me.
This was 2 years ago before the Royal Rumble.
I love the thought of you never getting to accomplish that goal, never realizing that dream. In fact, I get a warm, fuzzy feeling inside when I picture you years down the line, old, broken, and alone, obsessing over the fact that I am a multiple-time WrestleMania main eventer, while you go to your grave a miserable failure.
I, personally, CM Punk, has never lost 5 title matches at the Royal Rumble. Oh, that was you. Yeah. This is the big one, get ready. I have never lost to Logan Paul.
He has since then.
It's almost too stiff to repeat. Something else that I haven't done, I've never even attempted to do this. I haven't tried to manipulate my best friend, who I've stabbed in the back multiple times, in order to help him win me a title, because I wasn't confident enough in my own ability. Win, lose, or draw, I do it by myself. You don't. You take shortcuts.
Now, of course, that was babyface Punk, heel Owens at that point. By the way, Punk has not lost to Logan Paul. I got eliminated.
Yeah, you're right.
From the Royal Rumble by him, but he's not lost to him. Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah, I mixed it up.
But that's just a little taste. I wanted to mention that. And then kind of circling here to the other side, here's what Roman Reigns said after his match with Seth Rollins on the post show.
Full circle. This is where we close the loop. For it to happen here in Minnesota, this is where my football career ended, and to be able to have this moment here, I've been saying it all day, God is a way better storyteller than all of us. This is a special moment for me.
The moment with the chair, it felt like the turning point of this match. Can you tell us what was going through your mind in that moment?
Do what I tell my sons, do what I tell my daughter. Learn from your mistakes. It's time that we all grow up emotionally. You got to mature, you got to learn from your mistakes, you got to take these losses and make them lessons, and that's what I did tonight.
You said something to Seth. What was it?
It's always been me and you. Since FCW, since the Red Rooster was bitching at us. it's always been me and Seth. It's always been the two of us. Even in the Shield, we already knew what it was. We knew Ambrose was a wild hair, but we knew we was the guys that was going to change this place. We're the pioneers of this place. When people left, when people were scared, when they ran off, we held the fort down.
Now, Vintage, you wanted to mention something about what Reigns said at the end there.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that comment was directed at Moxley. To me, that's very clearly about CM Punk,
Clearly,
who, again,
yes.
one night prior had taken shots at Roman.
Exactly. That was a shot back at Punk for what he said on Saturday, and he's 1,000% talking about Punk. He understands, he and Rollins both understand why Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley left WWE, and they're thrilled that he's succeeding in AEW right now. Like, there's no ill will between those parties. I don't know why people immediately jumped. I do know why, because everything has to be about people in WWE being bad and everything they do is negative, and you know, AEW, everything there is good. Like, I get why they do that. So the tribalism and all that, but it's clearly talking about Punk. Like, I don't know how you could really conflate it in another direction. By the way, something interesting Reigns said there. Both main eventers, so night 1 and night 2, Lesnar obviously losing and then Reigns winning, had their football careers ended in Minnesota. Just pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Other awesome post-show moments were Big E hugging KO super tight, saying he almost effing cried. Owens shouting out Rebel from AEW, as you mentioned. She's battling ALS. Best wishes for her. Chelsea calling out Michael P.S. Hayes, noting how she had been fired by WWE a couple of times. Oba was also great, responding to the Punk promo we played a moment ago, but there's really not that much to say about that. There was one other deal that made a headline coming out of this post-show. Paul Levesque on night 1 held the old press conference format, which was weird that he wouldn't do it after night 2. He did it after night 1. He did not do it after night 2. But he did. He took some questions. Most of the questions were pretty horrendous, as they normally are. I mentioned, I think on Saturday, someone had an opportunity to ask him about the women's booking. Instead, they asked him about the women opening night 1 as if that was some negative, which was absolutely ridiculous. But he was asked a question about a Damian Priest promo from SmackDown 2 Fridays ago, where Priest said people are tired of seeing the same folks challenging for the WWE Championship. And when he said it backstage, the fans popped in the arena for it because, guess what? It's true. This was Levesque's answer to that question.
If you're the guy that wants to take the spot, it's frustrating when there's guys above you that have the spot, right? Like, we're in a period of time where there's a lot of top performers in top spots that over time have earned those spots, and over time are selling tickets, and over time are incredibly popular, right? So you really have to do something. The narrative of, it's my turn. I've been here for a while. It's my turn. There are no turns in it. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. You're in the spot. Believe me, if somebody is getting over more than somebody else, we've moved that person into the spot, move the other person down. But it's not just that. It's not just the, oh man, they get a loud crowd reaction or anything else. Are they going to be good in the spot? Are they going to hold up their end of the bargain? Are they going to screw it up if we give it to them? Are they going to make a mistake that we regret giving them this? Like, there's all those things factored in. The right human being in the right position, all those things factor in. And I love the fact that sometimes talent are like, whoa, it's frustrating or whatever. Like, great. That means work harder. Work harder. Get yourself there. Figure it out. Figure the way. Figure how it gets done. I've seen a million talent succeed because of what they do, not because of storyline, not because of creative. They gave them the spot or whatever. Right? It's 99% of the time in this business, the person gets over, then gets the push. Right? That's how it works. That's how it's supposed to work. You go do you. Then we follow it, right? Because otherwise, most of the time they will choke on it. If it's not what the fans believe in, if it's not what the crowd believes in. Anybody says like, well, I don't know why I'm not in that spot. Like, I don't know. Are you more over than Cody? Are you more over than Roman? Are you more over than Punk? Are you more over than Liv? EO, right?
I got to tell you, I don't really find fault in what he said there. What he remarked regarding like, get yourself over, become really popular, that's great, but we also have to be able to trust you. It was exactly what we saw transpire. And I know we talk all the time about WWE Unreal being, somewhat real, but also somewhat the reality WWE wants us to see. That's exactly what happened with Jey Uso. It's also precisely what happened with LA Knight. He got himself over.
Yep.
WWE gave him an opportunity. And guess what happened? He botched in matches. He was botching some promos. It did not really go well. He claims there's a different story to what happened in the, I want to say, Money in the Bank ladder match. And I'm sure there is. And I'm probably also sure that Knight, whatever his side of that story is, which he won't share, he's probably more right than whatever WWE was. And that's just giving the talent the benefit of the doubt. But the point is, I did not take umbrage with anything Levesque said there. I do believe there are extenuating circumstances where, like, okay, women get over more than Io and Liv. Well, if you're not putting them on TV, how are they going to get over at all? How can they even try to reach that, peak and steal spots if you're not putting them on television? But when it comes to the men specifically, like, again, we've seen it play out with Jay. Same thing is pretty much happening right now with LA Knight and happened before with him. And like, that was an honest answer that was more forthcoming than the vast majority of what he says when he's interviewed.
Yeah, considering it was a question about a line said in kayfabe, it turned into a good answer. And I think a lot of people jumped in the beginning of that, basically saying, get over, you get your push. But it's the next part, like you said, that is the additional context, which is, we got to know you won't screw up in a moment and this and that too. And a lot of people took the first part of that quote along with the ages of the main eventers in the show and said WWE is just doing the same thing and not doing anything new. And I just cannot disagree with that anymore.
Totally.
Trick Williams was never supposed to be where he's at right now. I can't imagine winning the IC title, WrestleMania, Lil Yachty, all this stuff. That was clearly something they saw. This guy is over, and we need to ride this more than we thought we were going to, or turn him babyface because the crowd is cheering him. Obafemi going this far, giving him this many matches against Brock Lesnar doesn't appear to have been the plan based on what Brock said about WrestleMania and stuff like that. Yeah. And like Sol Ruka comes up, wins the women's IC title. Like Tiffany Stratton, we have issues with the character development, but it's another like still somewhat new person who's constantly in a high role. So I would just say look beyond the main event.
Stephanie Vaquer,
the WWE. Stephanie Vaquer. Yeah. Yes, like they are pushing these new people. They are getting these people over. There are certain people, like again, Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble and winning the title at WrestleMania. That happened because he was insanely over.
Right.
And that was the exact type of thing people would criticize WWE for. Why are you not going with Daniel Bryan? Because he's crazy over right now. So I just think, I think that was a pretty good answer. I don't always agree. Certain people aren't pushed as much as they should, this and that. But some of those things some of those wrestlers I would point out, LA Knight and Chelsea Green, well, Chelsea Green just won the title. LA Knight's got a thing with Roman Reigns coming up here. So like, it's still happening.
And LA Knight has been like one of the top baby faces across the entire company in 2026. He's been feuding with the Bloodline, the top group in the entire company.
And that's because he kept working. Like he could have missed that spot that happened at Unreal Money in the Bank that was on the show. But he kept working, kept staying over and getting more over.
Yes.
And then you're back up and it's your turn.
There's only 2 men's world championships. You don't have to have the title around your waist to be getting pushed. Like you have to understand that. Now, yes, you and I, Vintage and Silver King, we both want LA Knight to win the championship at some point. Many of you listening do as well. Him not winning it, let's say in August or September, if he ends up fighting Reigns coming up, doesn't mean they're not pushing him. It just means they didn't make him champion. Like, those are 2 totally different conversations. By the way, Liv Morgan, people were clamoring for her to win the Royal Rumble. They badly wanted her to win the title at WrestleMania. She did both of those. Now they've completely turned on her and they hate her and she can't cut a promo and she can't wrestle. Like, it's all ridiculous bullshit. I loved this answer from Levesque. I don't care that people criticized it. Screw you. 2 other really quick notes. Brad Williams, the comedian, if you can call him that, had a cameo as one of the mini houses at SummerSlam. Apparently, he posted on social media a while back. He begged WWE to give him that opportunity. They agreed. So that was probably pretty cool for him. And right before we started taping the show, WWE announced Royal Rumble 2027 set for State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. It's also going to be a February show. So most likely the 6th or 7th, which is the first weekend in February. That is a football stadium. WWE has largely, I want to say, been running Royal Rumbles along with Survivor Series at baseball stadiums. I'm thinking that's going to be too large of a facility, but we'll have to see how many tickets they sell when that comes around.
Yeah, the WrestleMania 26, the one where Shawn Michaels retired, happened at that stadium. And they did do the Royal Rumble in Indianapolis 2 years ago at Lucas Oil.
Oh, you're right.
Where the Colts play.
Good call.
That's when I was at. That was one where it wasn't going to be the whole stadium, but the tickets were selling like crazy. They ended up opening the whole stadium. So now maybe that doesn't happen this time around. Companies cooled down a little bit, but I think it's a good spot. They haven't been back there for a big show in a long time. One other unrelated thing I just wanted to mention. Now is the time to do it on the show. I mentioned earlier I have some WCW on my TV right now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to shout out the WWE and WCW YouTube pages because at pretty much all hours, all the time, they're just running a nonstop marathon of old wrestling shows. Like, it's basically a TV channel. And I say that because there's a lot of criticism around, since they moved to Netflix, state of the library, finding old matches that you want to find, it has gotten more difficult. I think they're putting some of it only behind Club WWE moving forward, which is all fair to be upset about considering what the WWE network used to be. We loved it. We missed it. But there is a lot on the YouTube channel. And I just love these live channels they have. Like, YouTube is becoming television for a lot of people, and it's not hard to see why. This is just a WCW network, essentially. Like, this is some Beach Blast show from like the early 90s that's on. And I've fallen asleep to this the last couple of nights because I usually put something on TV to fall asleep to. And old wrestling turns out to be great for that. And like, this show has Jim Ross and Jesse Ventura on commentary. They're incredible. Like, it's just truly amazing. And just wanted to shout out, like, if you ever just want to have old wrestling on in the background, you don't need to like go find a certain match or a card or think about it. It's kind of like TV used to be. You just turn on the channel, click on the live, it's playing, and it's randomized. It's not in order. And it's a nice thing to have on in the background.
Sounds good. Everyone watch it and let me know, and let Vintage know what you think and if you agree with his suggestion right there. Look, on last week's SummerSlam Ultimate Preview, and again on our Fastest 15 special late Friday night, Vintage and I, we were remarking how the go-home episodes, really for the last 2 weeks, were just boring TV put on by WWE. I'm not going to address comments about last week's Raw being one of the worst ever, other than to tell you it absolutely was not. But what I can say with relative confidence is that WWE over the last few weeks put together among the worst, perhaps a better word is laziest, builds to SummerSlam that I can remember. And our hope coming out of the last couple of weeks was that SummerSlam itself could offer a bit of reset. And it appears that's happening. At least let's hope. 3 new champions, Shield lore ended, United States title scene reset, 4 huge returns between SummerSlam and Raw on Monday night. And then we actually get to Raw. And I'm of the opinion it was the best Raw and WWE main roster TV episode in months, one of the best of 2026. I saw someone write to us, it was the best since the 2025 Madison Square Garden show. I can't say that for sure. It was certainly upper tier for this year. Monday night felt more like a Raw after WrestleMania than the actual Raw after WrestleMania. And I say this with no offense to those who reside there. I was floored. Des Moines, Iowa, a small city footprint compared to major cities, Philadelphia, New York, whatever, got a show of that caliber. The only real demerit I had Monday night is that one particular woman did not make the main broadcast. Other than that, plenty of stuff developed. Every match got time. Every match was quality wrestling-wise. As a wise man once said, business is about to pick up, and WWE felt somewhat exciting coming out of SummerSlam and into Raw for the first time in a long time.
Agree. Really good show. We got multiple returns. Felt like a Raw after Mania, like you said. The only thing that surprised me was we didn't get Seth Rollins, and he's in Iowa all the time. So we got someone else close to Seth Rollins, but I was kind of surprised. The Iowa show, and you don't have Seth Rollins there doing anything, but great show.
Well, not surprising from the standpoint that coming out of SummerSlam, it didn't make sense for him to be there. But yes, given it was literally in Des Moines, Iowa, shocking that he wasn't on the show in retrospect. We have a lot of episode left. Let's not get that twisted before we get to it. Silver King does need to remind you that whether it is Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, where premium live events like SummerSlam, we're watching on Netflix, and Getting Over is all in with NordVPN. It's easy to set up a drastically better viewing experience each night with the same high-quality streams, except they become commercial-free shows. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover, open the app, quick connect to another country like the United Kingdom, open Netflix, and watch the program. This works for other apps too. But that's not all you get with a NordVPN subscription, because it's an all-in-one digital security solution that blocks threats before they reach your device, not after. You get protected against malware, dangerous websites, and ads, and one account can be used on 10 devices. Best of all, there is no risk, nor does a 30-day money-back guarantee. To get the best discount, go to nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan. So improve your WWE viewing, save money, and receive an all-in-one security solution while getting the best discount for the best VPN at nordvpn.com/gettingover. All right. It is finally time to break down everything that happened on WWE TV this week that we have not already discussed. And we're going to kick that off, as we always do, by sliding into the main event.
This is the main event.
Roman Reigns opened Raw once again, getting his championship presented to him by a stagehand. It remains confusing to me why he does not carry his title with him like every other champion without a manager or a lackey. Does this bother you as well?
Yes, it does. It does bother me. Every champion should have their belt at all times, and he used to have it all the time, like back in the old.
Yeah, or Paul Heyman would carry it, but then he would take it from Paul. But Paul was part of the faction.
Yeah.
This is just a random dude who's holding it. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, WWE did a tracking shot following Reigns through gorilla position to the ring, where he aura farmed for a few minutes. Reigns reminded that he can always call his shots, and when he does, he delivers. From winning the Royal Rumble to owning the old man CM Punk to being around all summer, mostly, to beating Seth Rollins. The latter part of that statement drew jeers, given Raw was, again, in Iowa, which I did not realize at all, pontificating what would happen on Monday night. Reigns called Rollins his brother and gave the crowd an opportunity to serenade Seth. He even conducted it on the mic. That was actually pretty cool to see. And then LA Knight interrupted to a massive pop. He ate crow while congratulating Reigns on not only prevailing at SummerSlam, but doing it on his own. But he still called him a fraud for sicking the bloodline on him rather than just addressing his issues directly. Knight reminded what happened last time they fought, saying he wants the same match that Rollins got, one-on-one clean without interference, whenever, wherever. Roman felt disrespected by being called a fraud, saying it was LA who's actually a fraud because he's out there wearing a Walmart watch and accomplishing nothing by winning a trios match. Reigns, by the way, was wearing a $600,000 AP Royal Oak. So he was not bullshitting when it came to the watch, differential.
I'm not a watch guy. I know some people who are, and like if people are watch people, they're huge watch people. There are no like casual watch folks. I thought that was a great line by him.
There's a community of like micro. I'm getting into watches myself. There's a community of like casual micro brand watch fans that is legit. But if you're like rich and you're Roman Reigns and athletes like we see all the time, you have an AP Royal Oak, you have some Rolexes, like, and Reigns.
I find it fascinating because watches is like not something, unless you're a watch person, like nobody know. I would not have guessed that it was that expensive, like you said.
Oh, dude, he turned his wrist over, and I go, "Oh my god!" Like I didn't know it was 600,000. I did have to look up what the price was, but I knew it was a 6-figure watch, and holy crap! So he was not bullshitting, is my point. Roman turned to the camera saying number one contenderships need to be earned, not awarded through bitching and moaning, and he wouldn't have his time wasted. Knight said Reigns has much more aura when he's not standing in front of him making faces. He noted how he hides behind his cousins like a new Shield. Knight mocked the Shield intro to spell Yousuck, calling him the biggest vomit in the business who wished he could be lightning in a bottle like him. He also mocked Reigns kind of being a backstage politician, an ego-driven star faking camaraderie with his peers by saying brother, basically suggesting he's manipulative and doesn't mean what he says. LA then questioned whether Roman can ever grow a pair and go up against the uncrowned champion himself. The crowd was 100% bought in, and Knight was on one here. Pitch perfect promo, no flubs, nothing. You could feel the confidence radiating off of him. What truly put it over the top was the second half, where he questioned Reigns' manhood by suggesting he was getting ducked, though Roman did have a point that LA has not truly earned anything in 2026. It sounded like they were potentially setting up a number one contendership, maybe a series of some kind, as a means of keeping the title scene alive while Reigns was off TV for however long. But that may have simply been part of the promo to trash Knight's resume at this juncture. It was tough to want much more from this segment. Roman gave proper respect and appreciation to Seth in the opening. That was a nice touch because it would have been odd for him to go from dapping him up in the main event to shitting on him 24 hours later. And Knight firmly put himself in the spot we assumed he would take as number one contender after SummerSlam. We even got Roman's reflection in LA's glasses again, like when they feuded a few years ago. They knocked this out of the park.
When LA Knight's music hit, I literally the meme of sitting up in my chair. I was like, oh, okay. All right, let's do this. Now we're serious here.
Mm-hmm.
Great stuff between the back and forth of them. Roman is right to basically call out LA Knight and push back on him. And I love that LA Knight's response was not to basically complain. It was just to double down and call Roman Reigns scared. That fits the LA Knight character. He's never trying to outsmart you. He's never trying to trick you into something necessarily. He's just calling you out straight to your face that you want to challenge him. And so I thought this whole thing was great setup. I love the line, smack you back to factory settings. All really good stuff. He cracked Roman when he did the Shield bit as well. Good stuff.
So you're the third person that I've seen point out the factory settings line. He says that every week now.
He does say it a lot, but every time it makes me pop.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad line or anything, but I'm just pointing out he does say it a lot. By the way, Reigns, just in terms of the schedule, he will not be on Raw next week. He will be on the 17th in Buffalo. Then he won't be on the week after that. He's going to be on the Raw and SmackDown double taping on the 28th in Cleveland. And then he's off until September 14th. And I'm not going to go through his whole schedule, but the point is he's only set right now for, I guess, technically 2 shows in September and 2 more shows in August. Or is that 1 more show in August? Really quick. 1 more show in August and 2 shows in April. So over the next 2 months, he's making 3 more. What did I say?
You said April.
How the hell did I say April? Yes. 3 total appearances from now through the end of September is currently what's scheduled for Roman Reigns. Apologize for getting mixed up with my words there. Anyway, Reigns backstage ranted at the rest of the bloodline, saying he wants to keep the respect while simultaneously living up to their standard. He admonished them for losing the 6-man tag despite having the advantage automatically, wondering why Solo Sikoa was not there on his hip getting them coffee. Then he ranted about Knight disrespecting him and wondered why he keeps hearing Royce Key's name and why Fatu considers him family when he's not family to the rest of them. He ensured Jacob knew they are the only bloodline. There's no one else they can trust. Jimmy offered to go after LA. Roman squashed that immediately, saying he would take care of that himself and warning them not to touch him. Knight immediately came around the corner as soon as Reigns left. LA had his suitcase. He mocked the bloodline to their faces, given what he had just overheard. Keys later found Fatu in the locker room, saying he remains his brother and his family, given their extensive background, no matter what happened at SummerSlam. Jacob stood up and immediately repeated Roman's words, saying he's not his brother, he's not his family, he's just one of the boys backstage. Fatu challenged for a street fight, promising to dog walk his ass before the night was out. This was largely what I expected coming out of SummerSlam, as detailed on our instant analysis. The surprising twist was Roman admonishing Jacob more than Jay, considering it was Uso who lost, and Fatu did not really factor into the decision. I suppose the idea is that Jacob was leading the trio, and he's the one that Roman trusted the most out of the group. Again, that is a major turn from the original reformation of the bloodline, when Roman spent time ensuring Jay felt respected and appreciated. But every part of this worked. First, Reigns admonishing his guys. Then Knight mocking them with a shit-eating grin on his face. That was perfect for his character. Jay got completely bitched out in this segment, which was funny. He nearly broke, and LA nearly broke Roman in the prior segment too. He had a great night on the mic. And then Fatu immediately succumbing to the brainwashing, just like the Usos did back in the day. To the point, he went from being at odds with Keys to straight up saying he was no longer family, no longer his brother, despite their extensive background. This was basically a 3-act play on Monday, and the exposition here in the second act more than got the job done.
Yep, this was great. It all made sense. It made get Roman back to the bloodline and react, because we didn't know how we were going to feel after that. Roman again was kind of acting the heel with LA Knight, and
Absolutely.
we know the rest of the bloodline is heel. So again, what's this dynamic going to be? Okay, they acknowledged it. They set that up. LA Knight got to look strong and look good again, taunting Jay on the way out. Very funny. I don't know why he was leaving. Do we know why LA Knight in kayfabe was leaving the arena after like the show had just started? I don't know, but that was really funny.
Yeah, I mean, I've always chalked that up to the general managers basically saying in kayfabe, yeah, you're done for the night, nothing planned for you, go ahead and leave. Is generally, what I would think. We had Keys against Fat 2, street fight in the main event.
Oh, we got two big meaty men bumping me tonight.
Reinforce the ring post. The beef's going to be flying tonight, gentlemen.
He don't want no water. He don't want no bread. All he wants is meat.
As I said, this main event of the show, Royce's entire entrance happened during the commercial break. He did not get much of a reaction. Jacob ran him into the post early, yelling that he has no choice besides beating him down like this. Keys retorted, saying they were supposed to be brothers, picking Fat 2 up in a power slam form, driving him straight through the barricade. Royce surprised Jacob with a flying clothesline off the announce table, threw him into the steel steps as a literal dozen chairs got thrown into the ring, to the point fans chanted one more chair for the first time I can remember. When Fat 2 bent over the middle rope to grab his opponent, Keys just murked him with a kendo stick, landed a few more shots for good measure. Fat 2 responded in kind with a half dozen of his own. Royce countered Jacob with a cross between a brainbuster and a vertical suplex through two open chairs. Fat 2 responded with an impaler DDT onto some chairs. Keys threw a chair at his head, took him off the ropes with top choice Royce into a pile of chairs. He followed with the ultimate spinebuster, neither move properly called by commentary. But when he charged at Fat 2 to finish the match, Jacob caught him with a pop-up Samoan drop through a leaning table, following with a mighty moonsault and a leaping Tongan death grip on the canvas for a knockout victory. Fat 2 refused to relent after the bell rang. He squeezed the life out of his former friend until he was pried off, only to back up and then run back onto him, leap, hit Keys, bit a blood capsule, Royce did, start spitting up blood all on the canvas as the Tongan death grip is locked in. Then Jacob wrapped a chair around his head, put him in the corner. Before that, actually, he hit 2 hip attacks. Then he wrapped the chair around his head. Officials came into the ring, including Adam Pearce, tried to pry him off. Pearce pleaded for Fat 2 to stop, but after Jacob took one step through the ropes, he re-entered for one more hip attack. He was going to do a second. The chair popped off, though, and Royce's head was on the apron, just blood coming out of his mouth. Reigns ended the show by appearing on stage, nodding in approval, and holding up the one. This was an excellent TV main event. This would have worked just as well on SummerSlam or any other event. It was far more violent than Obafemi versus Brock Lesnar, which is an interesting juxtaposition, considering that match was billed as violent, and this one was actually violent. As much as I enjoyed the 6-man, this was even better than that. And while I realized that had to happen first, I just kind of wished this was on SummerSlam. Then again, it probably wouldn't have gotten as much time. Getting a grade out of the way, 4 stars, A-, 5 slabs of beef.
Big meaty man slapping meat. That's what I want.
There's a lot of beef out here.
The key was Fat 2 regaining the persona he adopted during his feud with Reigns before being neutered. It came across like he got his balls back here. Keys looked awesome going toe-to-toe with him until the end. I do wonder whether he took too much of a beating. I'm not saying WWE has dropped the ball with him because he's been featured in huge feuds against important wrestlers, but he has lost everything except the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And as much as fans pop for his moves when he's actually wrestling, they don't pop for him. Maybe there will be a reset or something coming once he recovers, because he should be out of action for at least a few weeks now after that kind of attack. He did get stretchered off after the show ended. Roman's nod of approval. That was a really nice touch. It half made sense that no one saved Royce because LA had already left the building, but Solo Sikoa's lack of presence, that went unacknowledged. And that was a plot hole. I also wanted to shout out the referee. While he did not do the 1, 2, 3 arm drop like you and I always want, Vintage,
I know.
he did nudge his arm 3 different times with a break between each nudge. So he ensured that he was not going to receive a response before he called the match. If we can't get the arm drops to build suspense and the anticipation of a finish, that at least is a more legitimate way to call a knockout than hitting him once and ringing the bell.
Yes, but just do the arm drop. That was the
know.
perfect opportunity for the arm drop. That's exactly what it's for, and they just don't do it, or they only do it periodically. Anyway, other than that, good physical match. A little surprised, but I think part of my thought is Roman's not going to be on TV anymore or not very much for the next 2 months. You need to have kind of a big bad guy for Raw. And it feels like we're going to go back to that being Jacob Fatu, which is probably makes sense. Do I love Royce Keys getting punked like that? Not really, but there's not that far for him to go down from where he is. So, okay. But a guy like that should not be taking beatings like that very often at all. But still, overall, good stuff.
If you're going to have someone do it, Jacob Fatu doing it, given he got neutered and needed his balls back, it was the right person to do it. But we'll have to see what happens with Royce when he does return from, whatever layoff he's going to have here. In a strange but interesting development, camera stuck with Reigns as he entered gorilla position after the segment. Rey Mysterio was waiting for him. He offered a handshake despite Roman, having a guy murder a babyface on the other side of the curtain. I guess the AAA general manager version of Rey just doesn't get bent out of shape about stuff like that. Anyway, he asked Roman if he was aware of his role. Reigns dismissed it, not suggesting that he buried AAA, but I'd have preferred him to say, I heard something about that, versus that's news to me. Anyway, Mysterio said he had a proposition that he thought Reigns would like, and they walked off together. What was cool and might have been missed by some from this segment is that Rey approached and spoke to Roman like a fellow boss, like someone of equal stature to him, which was pretty cool. As far as what this is about, you gotta imagine it involves Triple Mania in Las Vegas and or Worlds Collide in Chicago, both of them in September. There will not be, I've mentioned this before, another WWE main roster premium live event between now and Money in the Bank in mid-October. The question, though, is whether this is about booking Reigns or Mysterio approaching him as the leader of the Bloodline to potentially book the Usos and or Jacob Fatu on those shows. Perhaps even a single storyline or a set of matches that transverses Triple Mania into Worlds Collide. For example, you could do a 6 or 8 man at Triple Mania and then do singles or tag teams at Worlds Collide. Los Perros del Mal, they exist as the top faction down there. Lucha Brothers could finally reunite against the Usos, or you could put together a group of baby faces led by Dr. Wagner Chesero. There's a ton of interesting options. The fact that WWE is dipping its toe into all of that now, more than 5 weeks away from the first show and 2 months from the second, that is tremendous foresight as opposed to like the rush job they did basically for the entire SummerSlam build. Ironic to look at the disparity between the two situations. Either way, it was an awesome tease. It would be a huge boost for AAA as WWE is continuing to seek a US TV and PLE deal for the brand. And it ended the show with something that was just incredibly interesting.
My first thought was, wait, is Rey Mysterio aligning himself with Roman Reigns to like approach him right after somebody was just murked in the ring? And then the audio, not great. It was tough. Like you really had to listen. And some people on the Slack had said they couldn't hear what Roman said. Like unless you were really paying attention, really difficult for that there. And so ultimately, like him saying, I want to talk AAA. Okay. I was like, oh, that's not nearly as like interesting as I thought when I first saw them face to face. You probably could have just kept that. You probably could have done that sometime earlier in the show. I don't know. It was after the credits again. They continued to kind of do some stuff post credits, all that. It kind of felt like a Marvel post credit scene, if we're being honest, of teasing a team up after the fact.
That's true.
It was an actual like post credit compared to some of the others, but I was like, oh, Roman AAA something. Okay. Like that's less interesting than what I thought it was going to be.
By the way, so much breaking news has happened during this episode, okay? Positive and unfortunately negative as well. Dory Funk Jr. has died at the age of 85. We'll talk about that more on Thursday's show. And kind of in a case, I hate to put it this way, of like one in, one out, Bianca Belair announced that she and Montez Ford have had their child. Romeo Leonardo Allen Crawford was born on August 4th. So super unfortunate, of course, for the Funk family. We will talk more about that on Thursday. We'll do a cold open there. As far as for Belair and Ford.
Oh! Yes! I love that!
Congratulations to the happy family. Best wishes for the health of the baby and the mom, of course. That brings us to the second half of our main event. Liv Morgan led the Judgment Day ladies out for a celebratory promo to end hour one of Raw. She interestingly got cheered during her entrance, but booed heavily while bragging about defeating Io Sky, calling her one of the best in the world. She gave Io props as the only woman on Raw brave enough to challenge her, noticing how no one is left to step up to her, which will eventually make her the longest reigning champion of all time. Then she put over Raquel Rodriguez, winning the Intercontinental title, calling her a best friend and sister. Liv also shouted out Roxanne Perez for her help, but she didn't really say much about her. That led immediately into a singles match. Raquel held up a barbed wire covered title, which was oddly not referenced at all. WWE, they went out of their way to scream about Trick Williams' legacy fur title, yet they don't even mention that this thing exists. Also, why the hell is it covered in barbed wire? I know Rodriguez has frequently worn gear with barbed wire on it, but it's not like she's a hardcore wrestler. She didn't beat Sol Ruca in a street fight. She hasn't used barbed wire, nor has WWE in 2026. So I'm looking at this title, and while I'm happy that she got something special, I keep thinking,
so dumb.
I just feel like they could have done a Texas-themed strap. That would have come across a little bit better. I digress. Vintage, you have anything on this title?
I thought it looked awesome, but, no offense to Raquel Rodriguez, we're not at you get a special design title yet.
Yeah, I love her, but she doesn't deserve that yet at all.
I do too, but Trick didn't win and immediately get the furry belt.
Exactly.
No, he had to hold that belt for a while.
Exactly.
And create the whole persona around it, and then you get the gimmick title.
But
that's all I mean.
But also, if it was Liv or Roxy giving it to her, look what we made you, like Lil Yachty did for Trick, then okay, there's something there. Like, even if it was backstage, she opens a present and she hugs her in the background of something else happening. That would have been cool. It just existed all of a sudden. It came in out of nowhere. We're like, oh, there's this championship and it looks really weird. And I mean, I agree with you. It does look sick, but it just doesn't fit what's happening. And extremely, extremely odd. I really hope they do not start doing quote unquote legacy titles every time someone wins a mid-card championship. That would be extremely weird. Anyway, back to Liv. It was a solid follow-up promo. It felt a bit empty when it ended. No one came out to challenge her immediately. Everything moved into a non-title singles match, but it later became evident why the segment was positioned in this manner. Seeing two of the three with championships, that was a really nice visual. Perez was not giving the side eye of dissatisfaction that she has in the past. I'm not suggesting that part of the storyline is over, just that it wasn't part of the segment. Overall, it was a solid start to an extended women's portion of the show. Liv was able to puff out her chest and continue kind of expanding her personality. While I have seen some folks dissatisfied with Liv's character, we talked about this earlier, she's perfectly loud and annoying for me. I don't get the hate. Everyone wanted her to win. Everyone wanted her to remain a heel. She's being an annoying, grating heel. To me, the hatred is just people getting worked by her character. I don't get it.
Agree on all counts.
All right, we had Sol Ruca against Roxanne. This started during the final 2 minutes of a commercial break. Perez did a nice O'Connor roll bridge, got legit heat playing to the crowd. Ruca did a lot of flipping around and mostly missed a step-off moonsault ringside. Thankfully, Roxy prevented the top rope cartwheel DDT by hanging Sol up in the rope. Sol put together some really nice offense with a tight German suplex, a running knee out of the second break. Roxy countered a powerbomb into a Hurricanrana trap cover. She avoided an X Factor with a handstand, only to completely miss an enziguri that Ruca sold anyway. Absolutely awful by the rookie. Sol avoided Pop Rocks and hit the X Factor, but Raquel distracted on one side, and the referee caught Liv blocking Soul Snatcher on the other side for a disqualification in 13 minutes. The result was disappointing from the standpoint that we did not get a clear winner, but I presume the reason was that Sol beating Roxy immediately after losing her title would put her in position for a rematch right away. And WWE, I'm guessing, wants to avoid that, considering she was not really ready for the strap in the first place. It was also rather sensible the way it was achieved, with the referee being too smart for the game the heels were playing. While 5 minutes of the match was not seen by the primary audience, the 13 total minutes gave them plenty of space to work. It was the best women's TV match in a long time. Perez was particularly great bell to bell. That's never a surprise. And this felt like the first of two shots in the arm for the whole division on Monday. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars B.
Yeah, good, solid match. Would have liked a clean ending like, we typically always want, but it was fine for what it was.
By the way, 4 of 5 matches on the show were at least 12 minutes, just compared to what we've seen, recently. So Judgment Day attacked 3-on-1 after the bell with Ruca eating Pop Rocks and a Tahana Bomb, until Becky Lynch, of all people, made a surprise babyface return with the heels frozen in place. Bex received a babyface pop and chance as Liv tried to mock her intro. Raquel held up her championship. Becky pushed it aside, saying she already made that title. She was focused on the world championship because all Liv has done since winning has become a glorified valet. Lynch said the champion needs to be a fighter, not a flirter, and that she had the single worst title reign of all time. Bex kept the "it's not just me saying it" line and got a pop for using it as a babyface. Expert level execution there. Liv retorted, saying she should focus on being a mom to her daughter at home, not jealous that her time is over. Liv's time is now, and she's the greatest champion of all time. Sneaky John Cena reference, by the way, dating back to her helping end his Intercontinental title run. Judgment Day tried to exit, but Lynch laughed, saying Morgan is not even the greatest women's champion in her own group, nor is she the greatest women's champion that has ever slept with Dominic Mysterio.
I like it. I like it a lot.
So that brought up a kayfabe question I had, which was, is it kayfabe that Dom sleeps with Rhea and Liv, or slept with? Because like with Rhea, it was almost like, no pun intended, like a Dom sub situation. Right. And it's not like they're like regularly making out. So I don't know if we ever established what that relationship is, but for Becky to say sleep with Dom Mysterio, I was like, is that canon? Is that kayfabe? I don't know.
I would say it is implied canon.
It is.
Implied.
It is.
Yes. That
good line.
That both relationships were sexual in nature, despite not being outwardly so. I mean, she's jumping on him and straddling him. You know what I mean? And,
I know.
And with Rhea, she was like leading him around almost on a collar, to your point. Like, so yes, it's implied sexual
really
relationships
is
for sure.
Yeah, and it really is the perfect spot for the "it should have been me" drop, Mr. Dolph Ziggler.
Oh my God, what an absolute terrible miss by the Silver King.
It should have been me. It should have been me.
So Bex is just ethering Liv. Judgment Day, they're walking backwards toward the stage. As they finally reach that mark, Stephanie Vaquer returns. Liv was awesome. She closed her eyes and mouths, "Oh shit." And then Stephanie shows up, chucks Rodriguez and Perez into the stage, stalks Morgan all the way back to the ring. Bex hops up onto the top rope so she can just watch with a shit-eating grin on her face as Stephanie beats Liv's ass and then ultimately clears the ring. Lynch got right behind Vaquer for a face-to-face stare-down, which may well have been a WrestleMania tease, but something it definitely was.
Gonna look good, but she's got me saying, "Hey now!"
Now we are going to hold a Hey Now Championship gauntlet on Thursday's episode. We do not have time for it today, but let me be completely clear with you. Vaquer is most certainly a contender. Stephanie told her off mic to stay out of her way as Bex argued it was her title. It seemed like we were supposed to be hearing what they said. The cameras did not pick it up at all. It was so refreshing to have Becky back firmly as a babyface. The fans were ready for it. She delivered accordingly, not only striking a perfect tone in disrespecting Liv, but altering her cadence. That way she was still the familiar character we recently saw, just attacking topics from a different perspective. The fact that she got a huge pop during "It's Not Just Me Saying That" for the first time, it just tells you all you need to know about her being the absolute greatest of all time on the mic.
You have it. You couldn't get rid of it. You couldn't sell it if you wanted to. You are it.
Lynch's return was fitting given the way Morgan spoke about herself in the opening promo, though I'm sure most of us, myself included, assumed it was only a setup for Vaquer. That made it a perfect swerve for Stephanie to come out at the end and be the one who stood out for her physicality rather than her talking. And the camera angle of Bex sitting on that top turnbuckle, watching with glee, was awesome. She really does raise the rent whenever she's in the ring. The line about Liv not being the best champion with whom Dom's ever slept, of course, that was top tier. There's no one like her. There never has been. This was the second shot in the arm that the Raw women's division sorely needed. It was executed incredibly well, and we can only hope SmackDown gets the same on Friday.
Yes, Becky Lynch, since we're in Iowa, the wife of Seth Rollins, making the appearance here, made all the sense in the world. The Stephanie return on top of that. I know like Becky hasn't been like gone a long time, but like a double return, you never see that coming.
No,
like that was great. So shout out to everybody involved. And suddenly Liv, who, as noted by the ESPN graphic, had not defended her title in 100 days, has a lot of challengers, and that's a great place to be coming out of SummerSlam.
Indeed. Now look, it remains inexcusable the way Liv's first 100+ days as champion were booked. And having neither Lynch nor Vaquer was no excuse for not having Morgan defend the title. In fact, It was a wasted opportunity to not use other women on the brand or even across brands. But as we've said many times, what has been under-discussed is how many top-level women are missing from WWE. These two, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and others. That's precisely why it was so frustrating that so many talented up-and-comers were left doing nothing rather than just be given opportunities. And while putting Bex and Steph immediately into the top title picture does help that championship, it does not repair the damage done to the rest of the division by not previously leveling them up. I just wanted to make sure that was said because this was great. And it's awesome that we were able to talk about the women in the main event of this show. That has not been something that we've been given the opportunity to do over the last few months. But it should not take Vaquer and Lynch for them to get this kind of placement on our podcast or on a WWE episode. And circling back quickly to the Hey Now Championship Gauntlet, we'll either do that on Thursday's show or we'll do it next week. There's too many contenders. I need to get my ducks in a row from a ring announcing standpoint. Vintage probably has to do his research at this moment, just so everyone is clear.
Oh, yes.
Lots
of research I need to do.
Liv is the reigning champion. Contenders I currently have are Andrea Barzate from the July 18th AAA show, the silver dress, if you haven't seen that. Jade Cargill and Charlotte Flair from the Go Home SmackDown, Fallon Henley at SummerSlam. And it was either Kathy Kelly or Jackie Redmond. I forget who. They were wearing a white dress at SummerSlam. And then obviously Vaquer here on Raw. If I missed someone, tell us on Slack or social media. I'll make sure they're included in the gauntlet. Otherwise, like I said, we will play that out either Thursday or next Tuesday. Speaking of things that we need to tell you, though, here at the Getting Over Wrestling podcast,
I happen to love the number 5.
And I hope you do as well, because for $5 a month or $50 for the entire year, you can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover, sign up. You can get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to major television shows when significant breaking news happens, plus exclusive news analysis posts every week on Friday. We throw in some editorials there as well. Please sign up, get additional content, support the show. We would greatly appreciate it. buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. I did want to shout out Andrew Larson, who became our newest subscriber a few days ago on a monthly basis. Shout out to you. And also another Andrew Martinson, who just already subscribes but decided to contribute to us. And you can do that. You can just throw us a couple bucks. So Vintage and I have some beer money thanks to Andrew M. So Andrew M, Andrew L, we really appreciate your support and we acknowledge you.
Acknowledge.
Big acknowledgement right there.
Acknowledge.
Now, being clear, we are running a bit long here on the show. I believe we're going to be able to get the vast majority of this within that 2-hour window we like to tape. So let's go ahead and rock it. We're going to cover everything else that happened on Raw and SmackDown that we have not already touched, and we're going to do it in the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, yo. Survey says one more for the good guy.
Say hello to the back.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
Obafemi, dressed in an all-white agbada, a traditional flowing West African piece of clothing, approached Paul Heyman backstage as the latter finished watching an extended Brock Lesnar video package, which now makes sense more in retrospect because it was basically his retirement. Femi told Heyman he felt guilty that he did not have an opportunity to truly thank Lesnar for what he did for him, but Heyman extended his arm for a handshake and promised to relay the message. Oba then hit the ring, recounting his war with Brock, saying they came out on the other side with mutual respect, even if it took Lesnar too long to find out the truth, that Femi can do more than swim. He can hold his breath in the depths, emerge to the surface, and pass every test. Oba said the beast can finally rest. There's no correct path forward for him. He will forge his own way and lead a new generation while taking down the old guard one by one. He dared anyone who had a problem with that to confront him, promising they will pay for it. Femi looked like $1 million. He was treated with the reverence he deserved for beating Lesnar. It was crystal clear that Oba talking about forging his own path was a way to tell the audience, I'm not immediately going to go after this world championship. That's disappointing on one hand, but it's not at all surprising on the other, considering the time of year and there not being a significant premium live event, as we've mentioned, until October. The question after this segment is what the hell WWE is going to do with him between now and then. There's big guys, Fatu, Keys, Solo Sikoa, big cast. They all felt like possibilities, but how do any of them other than Jacob stand a chance against someone like Oba, who just beat Lesnar 2 out of 3 times? It was still a no doubt or good segment. It just left a lot of questions, one of which may have been partially answered given what followed on the show.
Yeah, that's the thing with this King of the Ring win is that it just leaves open the question of why is Oba not going for the title right now? And it feels like you need to address that every time he's not going for the title. Now, I think an easy way to do that would have been to say, I'm a little beat up after that Brock match, but don't worry, like when the time is right, I'm coming. So we didn't get that. So it's an awkward thing that sits in your head when you see him and think about him. And it needs to be answered as much as it can. But other than that, pretty simple to just come up and stay, basically get your adoration, get your cheers. And that's that for up to that point. And I didn't mention this because I wasn't on here, but the Brock video playing I Stand Alone, great job with that video too.
Are you giving the segment a good?
Yes.
Braun Breaker then fought Joe Hendry as Femi exited from his promo. The Vision interrupted his departure with an onstage confrontation. Braun specifically stared Oba down, and he even turned around and went back for seconds, until Austin Theory physically pulled him away toward the ring ahead of this scheduled match. Even when the bell rang, Breaker was staring down toward the entrance through the entire commercial break, and Hendry was confused why he wasn't fighting. When Joe turned him around, Braun immediately leveled him and began staring at the stage again. Theory tried to get involved ringside, so Hendry murked him and then leapfrogged Breaker, who was attempting the runaround spear. While Braun did get run into the steel steps, Joe continued focusing on Austin. Breaker recovered in the ring, and when Hendry re-entered, he got speared to hell. This was the lone short match of the night, 2 minutes, but it was, booked circumstantially based on what was going on with Breaker. Braun immediately stormed out of the ring before Theory attacked Hendry. Akira Tozawa successfully saved with a Hurricanrana to stand tall in defense of what happened to Otis last week. This was one of the most unique match and segment bookings that I've seen in a while. Breaker being so focused on Femi and the claims he made that Braun was mentally checked out of this match and everything happening, yet was still able to win a squash in 2 minutes. That was pretty crazy and intriguing, but simultaneously, Hendry looked like a relative joke. Not that he's going to get some serious main event push in WWE like he did in TNA, but still, it was a relatively rough segment for him. Theory getting bounced out by Tozawa was not much of an issue for me. Heels are allowed to look silly against all types of baby faces as long as they prevail in the end. Look at The Rock back in the day. Definite good overall. An extremely intriguing direction for Breaker, who needed something meaty, and we got more from Braun in a bit, but we can talk about this first.
Yeah, really interesting. It was a good. I'm super interested in this Braun stuff. Like, there's a lot of ways you can go. As for the match itself, it felt like Braun ran into the steps and then made the spear for the win in a relatively short amount of time. But it was a quick match, so the match was not the most important thing here. It was everything before and after it,
right?
And that was set up pretty well.
And it was also the only bump he took in the whole match. Like, he ran into the steps, nothing else happened to him. So, okay, he recovered and he was fine. Breaker later came across Heyman backstage as Adam Pearce was speaking with Lyra Valkyria in the background. Braun told Paul he was going to do something about Oba getting in his way. He asked Heyman where he could find Femi, to which Heyman said, how the hell could I know that? Breaker sarcastically retorted that he figured Oba was his new best friend. I loved this interaction with Heyman. It felt more real than most segments on wrestling shows. This was a super easy story to tell, with Braun being jealous that Oba stole all his hype and main event positioning while he was otherwise occupied. In fact, Breaker's presence in the Vision as a tag team, as champion especially, that can be used somehow to help excuse his loss if they wind up feuding immediately. This could even be this generation's Reigns-Rollins story, with Femi in the former spot and Breaker in the latter. Oba has massive success early. He's pushed to the moon. The system is behind him. Braun has to earn it over time, perhaps even fighting against the system. Killer initial night build for their feud. Extremely interested to see what happens next week. Good.
Yeah, I don't know all of the history between the two of them in NXT, but there is a history and a notable history. And so coupled with coming out of Unreal, where one of the storylines in that show was Braun's going to be the future. We decide Braun's not the future just yet. We don't want to shove him down people's throats. To Oba Femi coming in and immediately being put to one of the very top spots, there's a natural jealousy angle for Braun to tap into here. And so I wonder if part of that was timed up with Unreal on purpose. And if Braun cuts a promo about all this, maybe it comes up. I don't know. I'm interested. It's a real character thing for Braun in a way that we don't often actually get.
Yeah, just so you know, and so everyone else knows, they've never fought before. Never in NXT.
Oh, who am I thinking of? Oh, no. I'm thinking of Gunther. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he Breaker beat Gunther in NXT for the title. Yeah,
that's what I mixed those up. That's right.
That's okay. I mean,
Breaker beat him there.
Yeah, you're not a weekly
but
watcher.
You still make the comparison of, hey, I was a whatever time NXT champion. Oba comes up, takes my spot. I'm jealous about that. Everything else, I stand.
Yeah, no, it's he got called up to the main roster before him, was on a great trajectory. Oba comes in after him and now takes his spot basically as the new young up and comer that everyone's behind. Where you know he was getting that praise before. It's an easy, great story. I am somewhat shocked that A, they're telling it, and B, they're telling it in August. It's a weird time of year to go Oba Braun, but you know what? They're doing it.
Well, you're not going to have Roman Reigns on TV very much for the next 2 months.
That is true.
So we'll see.
You need something.
It's also your last chance before football to kind of do something.
That is true. Chris W. at The One Wise Watch and Len A. at Len Biggs both asked on Twitter, what do you do to keep Oba and Roman away from each other until Mania season? Do you think Reigns holds the title that long? How would you book each of them? Love the show. You guys rule. You basically saw part of it play out here on Monday night. You can run Breaker against Femi for a couple of months. Then before Mania, run Fatu for a couple of months against Oba. Give him a month off, maybe an injury cell if the bloodline completely dominates him 4-on-1. That gets you most of the way there. It's going to be difficult. It's actually tougher with Reigns than Femi because he may just disappear once football season starts. We've seen that before. We just talked about his upcoming schedule. Who does he defend the title against after night? Can LA possibly win, hold it for a couple of months, and then lose it back to him? These are questions that are great from Chris and Len, but we just don't have the answers right now. And what I just gave you is my best guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to predict WrestleMania stuff right now. It's too far away. Everyone thinks, oh, it's natural to do this because we think we're closer to Mania than we are, but we're not.
Yeah, once we get late into the fall, that's when we can start having those WrestleMania conversations. I mentioned Lyra Valkyria. She got another commercial break promo. As soon as her name was announced, my literal reaction off the couch.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Lyra reiterated that she's focused on regaining the Intercontinental Championship that was created by her and made for her. Then she mocked Soul for crashing and burning as she knew Ruka would. Valkyria refocused on Rodriguez, hoping she saw the way Lyra brutalized Bayley, saying she's gone and never coming back. And considering she did that to a friend, imagine what she will do to someone she doesn't like. Terrific promo from Lyra. Again, completely hidden from the American audience. And as far as I saw before this show started, not posted on social media.
I don't get it. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
Why would you make such an effort to put her over Bayley in a significant match on a big show and then keep her off television? It legitimately does not make a shred of sense. Beyond that, I hope Lyra being so demonstrative with Bayley means we're getting swerved. If she leaves WWE for elsewhere, I mean, more power to her. I just view that as a mistake personally, but these Lyra promos, both of them during the commercial breaks, have been awesome, and people aren't seeing them.
Yeah, I'd love to see it more. Sometimes I'm watching on Netflix, sometimes I'm not. I miss this one. Again, post them on YouTube. I don't get why they don't.
Yeah, like it's one thing if it's not on TV, which is terrible, but at least post them on social media. Anyway, back to Judgment Day. AAA Cruiserweight Championship, Rey Fenix defending against JD McDonough. The Judgment Day guys were backstage at SmackDown looking for Danhausen. A confrontation with Phoenix and Fraxium led to this challenge. These guys were one at the bell. I mean, they were just going crazy. Rey doing his rope moves, JD hitting his springboard moonsault ringside. Phoenix hit a beautiful brainbuster only to get caught running with a standing Spanish fly. Dominic Mysterio interfered throughout, ultimately getting ejected in the late stages. Danhausen shut the lights out to confront an attack on stage, as we discussed over the weekend. Back in the ring, Phoenix hit Adios Amigo, his running Meteora to the chest, and a Mexican muscle buster to retain the title in nearly 11 minutes. This could have and should have gone for another 10. That's how much hype the crowd was feeling watching this match. A couple guys who are not even featured players in the company were getting crazy pops for their wrestling. It's amazing that when WWE lets wrestlers wrestle, the fans love it. Can you imagine what a novel concept? It's almost as if the secret sauce to get WWE out of its funk is what the second letter of its name represents. How about making SmackDown the land of opportunity again? Calland at NYCKNP on Blue Sky suggested that. Wish this got more time and finished clean. These guys were rolling. It's enough for a good. It could have popped and gotten additional praise with more work. McDonough is a top-tier B-side. I've said that many times before. Phoenix needs to be featured more. He's been given no chance to develop a character beyond his brother, but this was already great. If you added some of those elements, it would have been phenomenal.
It's really good. Again, let guys wrestle. It usually works on the crowd, and yet it doesn't carry over into the pay-per-view sometimes. It's strange, but what we got from these two was good.
Chad Gable entered before the end of Hour 2 on Raw, receiving "You Deserve It" chants from the crowd. He called SummerSlam the greatest single moment of his career, noting that fans may believe he deserved it, but he felt he went out and earned it. Gable thanked Penta for being a fighting champion, putting him over as potentially the greatest luchador ever. Then he thanked the fans for sticking with him across an entire decade through all of his hardships, including Shorty G, and believing in him when he promised he would win a singles championship. Gable said, "True grit is busting your ass until you deliver on your promises, even if you must crawl through crap to come out on the other side." Okay, Andy Dufresne. Penta interrupted to give Gable his flowers after they stole the show at SummerSlam, saying he's earned respect from fans and Penta, making him a true luchador and one of the best wrestlers in the entire world. Dominic and JD interrupted, the former saying he's not just AAA Mega Champion, but the greatest Mysterio of all time, somewhat pulling from Morgan's style. JD said Chad lost the right to call himself a luchador when a better wrestler took his mask in Mexico, and considering Penta just lost to him, he's even worse. Mysterio said Gable was keeping his title warm and Judgment Day was not done collecting championships, so he challenged him immediately. I thought the challenge was for the title, which made me seriously concerned, but it was just a tag team match. So there was a sigh of relief coming from the Silver King at the end of this segment. Gable certainly earned the opportunity to come out and promo like he did. The crowd was fully behind him, even if it only went so far. Penta not asking for a rematch was interesting, but simultaneously respectful as to not detract from Gable's accomplishment. It does feel like this has finally created an opening for him to link with Rey Fenix, Penta, become the Lucha Brothers, and prop up a seriously thin tag team division. And involving Dom in something important coming out of a rough month-plus comedy feud, that was important. Definite good across the board for this promo segment.
Yeah, it was fine. It was basically just repetitive of what we got the previous night. And I don't know if we need Penta coming out like a second time to congratulate him was like a little bit much. I'll believe we get the Lucha Brothers in a serious tag team situation when I see WWE act like it ever cares about the tag team division. We're not in that spot. It makes sense to, but given what they've done the last year to tag team wrestling, I'm not holding my breath. But this was fine, but it kind of didn't do anything for me because it's repetitive.
Gable and Penta fought Judgment Day. The faces dominated early with Gable hitting an angle slam after Penta nailed the heels with a tope con hero. McDonough murked Gable in kind with a Saito suplex ringside. JD broke up a fall after Dom ate a Penta driver. He tried to block Gable's moonsault with a raised leg, but Chad grabbed it for an immediate ankle lock and kept hold of the appendage, even as Dom tried multiple times to get away. Penta thwarted McDonough's continued efforts with a Mexican destroyer ringside. Mysterio stole the bellhammer, attempted a 619. Gable caught his legs and stole the weapon when the referee took it away. Dominic hung him up in the ropes. Penta did a rare babyface cheating spot by hitting Dom in the head with the Intercontinental title, allowing Gable to hit Chaos Theory, which we both wanted to see at SummerSlam, and get the win. The skull clap finally got over, even more so than in Minnesota. Penta did it with Chad, and the whole crowd behind them did it simultaneously. Penta also raised his arm twice. Super fun tag team match between four great wrestlers. Would have preferred McDonough taking the fall, but Mysterio was fully protected with the belt shot, which is why it transpired in that manner. He can now complain about it, presumably get a title match sooner than later. Beyond that, I'm glad Gable did not just defend against an undeserving challenger, and really, given how much mid-card talent is on Raw, I'd like to see a legitimate number one contendership match. 3.5 stars B. This was good on Monday night. No doubt about it.
Definitely good. Glad that Gable got a 1-2-3 pin for the win here. And yeah, I mean, it was good. Not really much more to add.
Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green fought the baddies on SmackDown. Stratton did her cartwheel Alabama slam and swanton bomb. She tried a hop-off code breaker using the steel steps, but only got half of it before Jade Cargill ran her into the ring post. Green then hit a missile dropkick only to eat a move called BTA, I presume belts to asses, a decent tandem move, for the heel victory. Charlotte Flair, who was seeing red and interrupted a qualifying match, but apparently didn't give a shit about Jade interfering during this one, walked down after the bell. Tiffy and Chelsea took out the baddies as they had a brief brawl. Cargill was basically wearing a white thong on full display. She just had like a white fishnet bodysuit on. And Flair had an eye-catching black leather outfit with a whale tail sticking up. I haven't seen one of those since high school.
Gonna look good, but she's got me saying, hey now!
Again, we'll come back to all of this on Thursday or next week. What I fail to understand is why they didn't wrestle a trios match in the first place, or why Flair wasn't ringside from the start. They could have kept Charlotte and Jade to limited action. The match went 7 minutes. We only got 4 of action. That's above the threshold. It's still pathetic. The other women's match on the show, a qualifier for the women's title, got 2 minutes. We ran through that on Sunday. That was despicable. This match should have not even happened. That one could have got 9 to 10, and this one could have got 0. What an absolute embarrassment. On top of that, Chelsea can lose and never be hurt by it, but dropping a match to the baddies accomplishes absolutely nothing, whereas winning at least would have helped Green. This was bad. The SmackDown booking of the women on Friday was ugly.
It's a definite bad. I do think the loss was to set up her win the next day. But again, it was a waste of time. Bad.
Javon Evans fought Ethan Page. While Michael Cole did mistake being in key with having rhythm before the match, he did properly shout out that Evans and Page have a long rivalry dating back to NXT, though he did not explain how vicious it was. Javon got bouncy and hit We Outside plus a froggy crossbody early. He dominated offensively, but after hitting a springboard lariat, Page scouted him trying to spring off the middle rope, hopping on it so Evans smacked the canvas. Then he followed with a cradle side slam that, as Corey Graves said, I have never seen before. Javon Evans countered the egoplex with an inside cradle. Each took shots into the desk before Evans rampaged into the post and over the timekeeper's barricade, following with his runaround flying splash. Red Dot followed. Page again prevented a springing move, pulling Evans down to the canvas, trying to cheat on a cover by using the middle rope. The referee caught him, so he countered a Red Dot attempt with a confidence breaker and a pickup power slam. The referee caught him trying to expose a turnbuckle, so Javon ran in from behind, somehow leapfrogged both of them, hopping immediately to the top rope for an OG cutter and the win. Page also got a strong heel promo during a break later in the show. Exceptional, inventive finish to a damn good TV bout. This was better than many matches at SummerSlam, in large part because it got time, which allowed Page to flex his smarts as a heel and Evans to allow his talent to shine. Javon being given the opportunity to show out in this manner while he remains away from the championship picture, it is the perfect way to utilize him. He is so young and energetic. He simply makes Raw better by being on TV in any capacity. In terms of a non-title TV match with nothing on the line, this was one of the better offerings from WWE recently. These guys put in work for sure. 3.75 stars B+, and I might be a touch low on that. Good.
Definite good. And there was like a little thing at the end of the match where when they get leapfrogged, Page doesn't just like stand there to get ready for the OG cutter. He turns around and acts like he's looking for Javon. He can't find him, then gets himself into position right in time for the OG cutter. And that's just like another little thing that Ethan Page, he does all the little things
so
really
good,
well.
Man. He's so good.
It's like the little details that you really know what you're doing that can make a good move look great and not look unrealistic. And I just wanted to shout that out.
For sure. Are you giving this a good, I assume?
Yes.
All right, 3 more things here, then we're out. As Evans celebrated after the bell, Big Cass showed up in the ring and blindsided him by booting his head off, rocking him with a lariat, dragging him around the ring by his braids, and doing a bear hug into East River, crossing a big boss man slam. He got some heat in his return before he paced around Javon and exited. It was solid as like a heat-generating moment, but extremely middle of the road in terms of reaction. Certainly not awful, but hardly amazing either. It was also copy and paste from what happened when Baron Corbin returned on SmackDown. They ran the same play on the other show. In fact, they did it in a match with 2 other recent NXT call-ups. So like I said, total copy and paste. Cass later did an interview backstage demanding to hold the microphone. He said he was left for dead in the dirt for 8 years. That's how long it took him to get back to WWE from rock bottom. He did not expand on what that meant. Remember, he said that in the vignettes leading to his return. Cass told Evans it was nothing personal. He was just in the way. Cass was there to stack bodies, and Javon was simply the first, nowhere near the last. Look, Cass was a lower mid-carder last time he was in WWE. And even in AEW, he was not booked as a legitimate contender. So it's not like his addition to the roster was supposed to be some spectacular moment. Still, I was disappointed at the basic return and shallow promo. Why should I, as a viewer, care to see him do more of this next week? At least he got to speak, whereas Corbin did not. So that was a positive. This was not overly objectionable, but as a grade, I am giving it bad.
It was like fine, but like you said, it was kind of basic stuff. And doing the promo backstage instead of in front of the crowd, maybe you think he's more comfortable back there or whatever. Kind of took away from it a little bit. So like, it's not dead in the water by any means. Just a bit underwhelming of a start. I'll give it a light bad.
I saw people complaining that like Enzo Amore was not with him. Meanwhile, when it was first reported that Enzo and Cass might both be coming back to WWE, people were complaining that Enzo and Cass was played out. It was a decade old and no one wants to see it anymore. So what do you want? Are you happy that Enzo's not with him? Or, were you mad that they were going to bring them back as a tag team, supposedly? It's like you can't please anyone with anything here. I'm glad he was by himself here. I do believe they could add Enzo and make him a manager for Cass, maybe even the person who speaks for him, and then Cass can also speak for himself like he did. But I don't want Enzo and Cass as a tag team on the main roster. Do you?
I would, but if you're gonna put Enzo and Big Cass back together, like you got to just do Enzo and Big Cass. None of this like heel Left for Dead type of stuff. You got to just do the gimmick.
I guess.
So with what Cass is right now, no, I don't want Enzo around this. I don't think it'd be any good. If they're going to be together, do the bit first, and then maybe you transition them into some other character.
Well, let me ask you this.
But Enzo and Cass,
you have a red pill and a blue pill. You can pick one. Do you want this version of Cass, or do you want Enzo and Cass as a tag team doing the soft shtick and the whole deal?
I want Enzo and Cass as a tag team doing the soft shtick.
Okay.
That's the only thing they were good at. That's the only thing they were known for. It's what got them over. Like that was the whole bit. They never won a tag team championship. So that's what I would want. But if you're going to try this with Cass, which is fine, don't have Enzo around it. Maybe Enzo brings him back to a good side in some sort of character and they reunite and then do the bit. But right now, I don't need Enzo with this.
Huge disrespect forgetting that Enzo was Cruiserweight champion on 205 Live. I can't even believe that you would forget that. Tama.
Was it Cruiserweight or the 205 Live?
It was a Cruiserweight championship on 205 Live, which was the Cruiserweight show.
I guess that's what it was. You're
right. Tama and Tala Tonga had a crisis of consciousness in a backstage meeting where they both spoke in the same segment, probably for the first time ever. They said they forgot themselves and their purpose, but leaving Solo Sikoa was the right move so they can chase gold, put their family first, and not fight his battles. Out of the shadows, effing Haku shows up, telling them not to forget they are the sons of Haku, the MFing Tongans. We knew MFT represented MF Tongans from the beginning. More importantly, he confirmed it. Even more important than that, yes, please. Not suggesting this is going to be some breakout tag team that's going to set SmackDown ablaze, but it's the right booking for these two guys to make them even semi-interesting. And if Haku is going to make regular appearances as their manager, hell yeah. WWE has a dearth of managers these days, probably deemed to be non-revenue generating talent, but they can benefit wrestlers, Haku more than most. This is a prospective good. I need to see a lot more.
Well, I mean, I need to see more, but it's a definite good. And need to figure out if I can get you like a drop from being the Elite back in the day when
the Cody drop,
the Bullet Club.
I know
when a Bullet Club. There's a Bullet Club has a split. And they beat up the Elites and Cody and all them. And then in the locker room afterward, Cody goes, "What the hell is Haku's problem?" It's like the end of the show or whatever. It's really funny. Haku could still kick every single ass if he wanted to. I love this. We talked about previously a couple weeks ago, like they were mentioning the elders, and I was like, are they talking about Haku? I don't think they're talking about the Anoa'i family, and it wasn't quite clear. And so for it to be this and them to show Haku to show up backstage and everything, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm into this now. Again, I need to see WWE care about the tag team division, but this team suddenly has something, and I'm interested.
And what the hell is Haku's problem?
Pretty great. Title for title match. Last thing for us to discuss today, Damian Priest and R-Truth, the WWE Tag Team Champions against the War Raiders, the AAA Tag Team Champions. Priest flourished on a hot tag before eating Viking experience. The referee got shoved twice by Priest and Ivar while trying to break up the action due to a lack of tagging. leading to a double disqualification after 6 minutes. So they ploddingly brawled into the half-empty hard cam side of the arena, with Truth, to his credit, leaping off a production platform to take down 3 guys. When they returned to the ringside area, the Tongans attacked and destroyed all 4 guys. Tama leveling Eric with Cutthroat and Tala taking down Priest with a chokeslam ended it. Haku then joined them in the ring, and the Tongans raised all 4 championship belts over their heads. This sucked a big one. The challenge for this match was made a month ago. Creative shuffled its feet for 3 weeks before finally setting it for the go-home show. Then it ends after 6 minutes of lackluster work in a double DQ that only played because the referee actually followed rules for once. But the Tongans could have simply stormed the ring and created an identical result in a much more sensible and exciting manner, considering the promo earlier. Now, perhaps after everyone was allowed to wrestle for a bit, 10, 12 minutes, they come in, they screw everything up, and we say, okay, I understand the disqualification in that case. No. Instead, WWE promoted a title versus title match for the larger part of a month. And forget getting a result, we barely got a match. On top of that, everyone involved here was so old and slow. Tala was the youngest person in the ring at 35. The average age of the 6 men involved who were actually wrestlers was 43. Everything was slow. The match and the brawl were so uninteresting. You have the best tag team in the world backstage. Average age of 28, by the way, in Fraxium. They are doing absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, these guys are plodding around the ring, boring the hell out of us. Also, why the hell are you debuting Haku in Green Bay of all places when this week SmackDown is in Philadelphia? Sorry, this was not bad. It was absolutely positively ugly. Total dog shit.
0.0.
0.0, Mr. Blutarski.
I will give the tag match and everything with that an ugly. The crowd did not care. The DQ was extremely weak. There was no heat to it. But I'm upgrading it to a bad because of the Tongan stuff. I didn't expect we'd get a payoff or an advancement in the same show. Usually it's like promo 1 week, maybe a promo the next week, maybe a promo the next week. We see them do something. No, like we went right to it. They made the statement with the vignette. Then they made the statement in the ring. Haku's got the giant ass walking stick. Looks awesome. So I'm going to give it a bad, but like that last bit to me was good. And so it raises the whole thing from an ugly to a bad.
Yeah, I mean, I like that they interfered. It's just, again, a 40-plus-year-old tag team interfering after a disqualification is already called in a match against 2 40-plus-year-old tag teams. That was bad itself. Like the match sucked and it may have gotten better over the second half, but we never got the opportunity. It's really the booking of everything that I'm giving the ugly to, making us wait a month for a match that should have been run 3 weeks ago and then doing it in this manner. And it's like, to what end is this going to be? Like, they win the tag team titles. Okay. And like, are people really going to be into the Tongans because Haku is there? I am. You are. We know Haku. Is the 24-year-old in the third row going to give a flying shit about Haku? I don't think so. So like, we'll have to see, but that is the way I felt coming out of SmackDown on Friday night. And Vintage, that wraps up this edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. I mean, what a show. We covered so much in a relatively short period of time. I thought there was a possibility this was going to go 2.5, 3 hours at one point, but I'm going to give us both a little Barry Horowitz, a pat on my back. You can do the same over there. We got out in around 2 hours, and that is always the goal right here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast, if, of course, we can't be shorter than that. In terms of what's to come, on Thursday, we'll be talking AAA, NXT, and AEW. Don't forget, if you got through this entire episode and I screwed up and didn't mention it earlier, we have not one but 2 instant analysis episodes from WWE SummerSlam. Make sure you listen to those. We break down every single match in much greater detail, give you grades, analysis, and what we expect to happen in all of those individual feuds moving forward. And if you've already listened to that and you just finished listening to this, then 1 week from now, on Tuesday, same bat time, same bat channel, we will be talking WWE. It is possible that we run the Hey Now Gauntlet and some additional content on Thursday's show. Keep a lookout on our social media. We'll tell you exactly what is going to be in Thursday's episode. Speaking of social media, you can follow us there at Getting Overcast. On Twitter and Blue Sky, you get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights, sending questions and comments for the show, like the ones you heard on this episode. We have more of those, by the way, on Thursday. On YouTube, you can subscribe to listen to the show. You can watch full-length video interviews at the link in our profile. Join our free Slack channel. Hit the links to subscribe, shop on WWE Shop, and so much more. Also, please do not forget, here at Getting Over,
It's all about Defy.
so head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Thanks to all of you for listening. For Vintage Chris Manini, this is the Silver King Adam Silverstein signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.